We can say hello to the internet people now. We're all here.
Hello.
Greetings, internet peoples.
Hey,
For
chummers.
our millions of fans, welcome back.
That sounded quite a rhino.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Shadowrun here in Siamese Serpents. We're currently in Cambodia, so we're currently in the jungle, and we intend to head back to Siem Reap after a, by all accounts, successful run on a train that was carrying some cargo, some of which is personally ours. As for the cargo of that train, you've taken account of everything that was in there. The auto dock, I think it was like 20,000 liters of diesel or something like that. Of course, our own vehicle, which was being shipped in with its weaponry and everything that was stored inside it. You've taken care of all of that, right? Account of all of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
The train itself had derailed, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The train had derailed. The Khmer Rouge had set up some had placed something on the tracks which caused the train to derail, and thus it's really not going anywhere until someone can get a crane or a train out there to put it back on track.
Put like a penny on the track.
Yeah, penny. That's right.
I may be able to offer assistance.
Yeah, maybe you can. Yeah.
My vehicle is an enhanced winch on it. It's the kind
yeah.
of like shit actually comes out and like attaches to the ground, like rescue vehicles have and shit.
It might prove just a very big derailment, but you
Yeah,
don't need a very big derailment to ruin a train's day.
Yeah, let me see what this thing's actual like lifting power is or pulling power is.
Better question is, how big is the engine on the train?
Not huge. It's not a particularly large locomotive, and the train itself is not particularly long, which is one of the reasons why it's not a particularly large locomotive. So yeah, in terms of trains, they don't come much smaller than this one, but the track is also really shit.
Okay, the enhanced system can support a load up to 100 tons and includes additional stabilizers deployed from the vehicle onto the ground to double the towing vehicle's weight for lifting purposes. So this thing's capacity is exactly 100 metric tons.
That might do it. I'm not sure that they can. What would the consequences be for failure anyway? Yeah, let's just give it a go. I guess that would involve some checks involving, say, engineering.
Industrial mechanic?
Perfect. Yeah, industrial mechanic works well. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's good. All right. So you do the math and try to rig up the direction, the velocity, the amount of power you're going to have to apply, where and when, and after that it's just a piece of cake. But before we get there, your truck is in the tunnel, right? How are you going to get the? Yeah.
I was gonna say, never mind.
Yeah, because your truck's in the tunnel, how are you going to get it out of the tunnel so that you can put it in a position where it's going to act as like a fulcrum in order to
I mean, I seem like the one with like the front of the train sort of blocked off. Can't we just drive it off like the back of the train?
Well, the No. Okay, this part's easy. So what we do is you unhook the car that the truck is on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you have from here back it's hooked together. Then you use the winch to grab onto the side of the tunnel, and then have it, the power of the winch, pull these two cars out the back of the tunnel.
All
and
right.
repeat as necessary until the truck itself is outside of the tunnel.
Right. That's good in theory. There are a couple of issues with that. First of all, the brakes on all of the train's wagons are on. And when brakes are on a train, they ain't going anywhere. Even if you pull it with a train strength, it's still not going to do much. They're air-operated brakes. They act under pressure, or rather, they activate when there's zero pressure. So there will need to be pressure, air pressure, in the train's lines before the brakes will come off. And when the brakes do come off, it's going to start rolling backwards. There's a relatively slight incline, which means that the momentum is going to be slow at first, but it's going to pick up until it becomes an out of control train, and it just starts rolling all the way halfway back to frickin' Bangkok. So yeah, good idea in theory, but there are some complications.
So why don't we do it the other way then? The pressure valves should have fucking hand pumps on them for just this sort of thing, but you attach the winch the other way and use that as the safety braking.
Oh, so you just let it like slowly roll and use the winch to stop it when you need it to?
Well, yeah, you then have it over here, and then as a real failsafe, once it gets to about here, just put a round in the compression chambers.
You could even just have someone on the train car itself and brake it manually.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But as a last-ditch resort, you just puncture the tanks. That's the fail-safe.
I guess this is the rigger's call at the end of the day. What do you think of that?
I'm gonna do the math essentially. Do I think that would cause any problems, or would it do what we think it would do?
It could cause some problems. It does sound like a pretty solid plan. The issues that I can think of are that because your truck's still on the train, like, you don't have a very secure foothold. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Part of this winch system is like gecko grip things to pull out the side and attach to whatever the truck's on, so I would be able to like anchor myself to the car I'm on.
I thought that would probably be the case. But yeah, so when the whole thing starts moving, you'll be moving with it. Is that what you want?
Well, the objective is to attach the winch to the ceiling and essentially use the winch to to anchor the cars in place and keep them from rolling backwards.
Yeah, sure. All right. So if I understand this right, we detach these final two wagons. Probably get rid of the diesel first, but don't want to get caught up in too many details. So anyway, it doesn't matter. You detach the train. You rig up your vehicle so that it's hooked up to the cave itself. It's suspended and anchored into the cave. The train begins to roll. We apply the brakes either through manual use, or we just blow the frickin' air canisters, which will reactivate the brakes. All of that sounds like it's good mathematics. It sounds like you're going to be able to do that. These won't move in the process because the brakes are on and because the train's derailed. it still leaves us with the original problem, of course, that the locomotive is derailed. So, assuming that we're able to do part A, detaching the final wagons safely, and then halting their progress again, what is part B? How do we do the original goal?
Well, I assume like once you've got like part A done and
Yeah.
his car's outside, we can just
we
drive
backed it
around
out of the.
Yeah,
back
yeah.
into the tunnel.
Sounds accurate. All right.
Just a question: how is the vehicle on the train? Is it just sitting on a wagon? Is it in a container? Is it?
It's in the wagon, strapped down. If you've ever seen the way we transport cars, yeah. So we transport cars on like a fucking what do they call those trucks that transport cars? I don't know, but anyway, it's held in with straps. Yeah, high tension straps.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe they put it in a shipping container and.
Good question. Yeah.
A car carrier trailer.
Auto rack. An auto rack is what it's called. I've googled it.
Oh, okay, I've never heard that
too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there are open ones and closed ones. I'm assuming this is one of the closed ones.
there's the train employees that are still breathing, right?
A couple of them, yeah. A few of them have been shot dead.
So I mean, we
Posted
should
in
ask
Discord.
them.
Is that what you mean?
I think he means one of like the ones without a roof that you.
Yeah, no, one of the ones that doesn't have a roof. It's just basically strapped in. It's not in a car. It's just
It's like a tray, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Tray, yeah. Open carriage.
Those?
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, precisely. They are both appropriate pictures, you know, because it's halfway between that and that. So
It's a ghetto APC, yeah.
halfway between a sedan and a fucking Abrams tank. Yeah.
That's its official designation. A token I got there is about what I have in mind.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So the mathematics is all good. We've still got the driver might be dead, but the assistant driver, the fireman's probably still alive. In any case, Godfather understands the physics of driving trains, even if he doesn't have a lot of experience, and could probably instruct them on how to do it. And on top of all of that, automated systems mean that the train kind of drives itself anyway. This is the year 2072, even if they're using old 2020s technology. Yeah. So yeah, if there's anything that you want to ask what's left of the crew, then that's possible. But basically, all that they did was the Khmer Rouge took like a massive lump of steel or lead, like a huge fucking iron bar, maybe 6 inches thick, weighing probably about 20 or 30 kilograms, and just laid it on the track. And because they couldn't see it, they hit the. Well, maybe they used a landmine. Yeah, let's say they used a landmine. That's more Khmer Rouge's style. And it was a mine big enough to just blow the train off its tracks. It didn't cause the train any real damage, cosmetic damage, sure, but not real damage. And the tracks are pretty buggered, so there's not going to be a lot of not going to be many trains coming through here until the tracks are fixed. But that's not really our problem. We're here for this cargo, and until we want to ship in something else that's heavy, we're likely to not be too concerned. Right. So we don't want to spend too much time on the logistics of reallocating a locomotive onto its own tracks. We'll just assume that that's done. We've got the technology, we've got the know-how, we've got the crew, and the mission has been a complete success.
And there was much rejoicing.
Much rejoicing.
That there was.
Except among the Khmer Rouge, who are wailing and gnashing of teeth.
I'll make sure they see the impressive amount of engineering.
Look at all this high tech, bitches.
Yeah. I'll talk shit to them in Khmer about not being a backwoods commie. I also might give them a tour of the dead bodies.
They are about as impressed as the 14-year-olds that they should be.
I bitchy, and I try to convince them, if you stop being commie bitches, you can do this too.
Agree to anything that you say.
Are you recruiting child soldiers again?
Sounds
Again.
like it.
I'm saving innocent from the evils of socialism.
This shit happened last campaign. He made child soldiers last campaign too. I'm starting
They
to
were
think this
fucking
is a pattern.
effective.
He gave street children automatic weapons.
That's not true. I gave them 22 plinkers to train on. And I sent them to clean up their own areas by killing devil rat. The fact that they became vicious little bastards who wouldn't let anybody near our building was just a side benefit.
I mean, technically, they are our child soldiers, or some of them at least, because I have them under my control.
Oh, quick
Not supposed to
question.
give the spell.
That auto dock we've recovered. How big is it?
Chunky. Probably a couple of meters long and maybe about 4 meters. It's pretty chunky. It's pretty big. I'm not sure how big the auto docks are meant to be, but they're surely big enough to put someone in there. You know, you can't diagnose a patient without putting them in there.
You can get
Like
auto
a twin-sized bed, maybe?
Yeah, twin-size bed. Yeah, sure. Larger than that, but yeah, that's as in taller, higher. But that would be the pretty good for the 2 dimensions. About almost as wide as a modern car, almost as long as a modern car, and probably about as tall. Yeah, it looks something like about the dimensions of a van.
MRI machine.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. An MRI machine. That was the vision that I had in my head. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Good example. An MRI machine.
Okay, got it. So probably gonna have to maybe rig something up with the pickup truck, or well, is the train the part of the train that's blown up? Is it the part that goes towards Siem Reap, the part going away from it?
Yeah, towards like the train tracks are blown more or less where it derailed.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we could strap this auto dock to the roof. Because I want this thing, but
Do we want the fuel? Because I guess we can't take it unless we take the train as well.
yeah.
And I should put the train back on the rails. Like, I don't think we can take like however many tons of like oil there is there. I mean
The
diesel.
problem is the rails are damaged. So even if we get the train on the rails, we can't go forward with it.
We can fix the rails somehow. They're just pieces of steel, right? You know, they're currently bent and twisted and warped. If we can unbend them and maybe fix where it's broken, you know, there's probably like a gap of 3 or 4 inches, 10-centimeter gap, where the rail no longer meets the rail.
Yeah,
Screw that.
I could fix that if we can. I got universal sealant. It's as good as steel.
Is it really? Right.
Yeah, it's used for like stealing spaceships.
Yeah, right.
I got an easier idea, I think.
Okay.
Because train tracks usually need to be, pretty straight and kind of precise. Just rip up 2 rails from behind the train and put them in front of the train where the damage is. Swap rails.
Another idea.
If we just need to bang it back into place and fix the gap, like so long as we can do that, universal sealant should do the job. I got a decent amount of.
I guess the decision lies with the rigger, since I think that you'll be doing the majority of the work.
Yeah, I'll need some muscle. So
I can help with muscle.
Probably the orc.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking the straightening of the rails themselves is probably the hard part of that.
Yeah, we just gotta bang them back into place, basically.
You say
I gotta.
you saying you don't have a
Yeah, I got,
workshop in the
like,
back of
look
that
forward
like
to-
tank?
I do actually. I have the workshop mod, so it's technically it has the components of a vehicle workshop in it.
Things like, well, you know, like obviously welders and oxys and but yeah, well, how about straightening the track? What will we use to turn spaghetti into a straight line?
So I suppose you could just like warm up the metal, like using something in the workshop or spirits, and just like hit it with a hammer back into like shape.
Sounds like an idea.
Yeah.
It
Sounds
might
like-
almost be easier to swap tracks than try to hammer the big ass railroad steel into place and
See?
straighten it.
I mean, it's the future. Like, we got fucking high tech blow torches and shit, I think, but I think it'd probably be more straightforward to just hammer it back into place, and then we won't, like, the rail will still be usable both ways.
I think no matter what we do, I think the railroad would come out here and check it
Whatever
up
we
anyway.
do is going to be, whatever we do is
Yeah,
going to
but-
be a jury rigged fix. They're going to need it all professional fix.
Yeah, obviously, but, you know. The tracks aren't broken if somebody else comes up behind us.
I guess it's your call, Godfather. So
Yeah, I think it'll be easier to just bang it back into place and seal it, because it doesn't have to be, as far as I understand it, or this is a relatively simplistic, like rail system. I imagine.
certainly
it doesn't-
is.
It's like, yeah, it's not like maglev or some
nah,
shit.
man,
so-
it's not much more complex than the stuff that they ran through Africa in the colonialism days. You know, it's two pieces of steel connected by a few sleepers. That's about the complexity of it.
Yeah, let's just bang it back into place and seal it with the universal. We got the
Oh,
stuff
you've got-
to heat and bend the rails.
Exactly. So you've got spirits to do to melt it and to get it to a more malleable strength. You've got manpower in the form of 14-year-old girls with sledgehammers to do all the hard work for you. And
You make this mess, you fix it.
we buy you a Barbie doll. All right, yeah, you use modern technology, the best modern technology to do the more technical aspects of it. It's a real hodgepodge of 19th century and 21st century techniques, and ultimately it works. You might have to chop down a few trees to get a few more extra sleepers. It probably ends up taking a fair amount of time. Maybe as many as 12 hours on top of the few hours that you've already taken to get here and to launch the assault and so on and so forth. Mr. Johnson is probably going to get in contact with you there. The Interior Minister will probably send you a message wanting to know how the mission is going. Do you just give a very brief overview, or is there anything that you specifically want to tell him?
I think just a bunch of Chimera were trying to hijack the train. We
Yep.
interceded, rescued the troops, and now we're working to repair the track and get the train back to the city.
No worries, he leaves you alone. You're proving your competence to him time and time again.
One thing we'll ask is his advisory for prisoners.
Shoot him.
If he has one. Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know.
You need no POW camp or anything. It's just at our discretion.
POW camps mean that you have to give them rice, and well, rice, that's like a few dollars a day, man. I don't have $2 a day to spare. Something like that. So it's kind of in your hands. If you bring them in, then they'll find a place to put them, whether that's in a jail or in the ground. But it's really your discretion.
All right, yeah. That's the report.
Excellent, and that's all that's needed. 12 hours later, the train is back on the tracks. We've salvaged the diesel as a result. the train tracks are functional, more or less, and thus shipping should be able to get in from Bangkok once again. A complete success.
I would advise the Interior Minister as well about maybe to make sure any trains coming through here go quite slowly because until they fix the rails.
Excellent.
The heating and stuff that we've done to the rails will have probably wrecked the tensile strength of them.
He'll inform the Transport Minister, and they'll put like a 5 kilometre an hour speed restriction on there or something.
Yeah, nobody follows it, but
Yeah.
there's a train derailment 15 minutes after we leave. But hey, it's not our shit on it.
It's all right. Someone else's head on a plate, not yours. All right. And yeah, so the train chews on into Siem Reap. We drive in. The buffalo and the half tractors and the tuk-tuks will get the fuck out of the way because we are a weapon of war. Welcome back to the big city of 150,000 people.
All right. Well, let's I guess go to somewhere where we know weaponized vehicles are comfortable. Clockwork's compound. I don't think we actually finished neutralizing all his defenses, so we should probably do that before we go in.
Yeah, in the time that you've been gone, the government's moved some forces into the compound, and they've begun doing exactly the sort of thing that you would have been doing if you'd fully secured the area. At that point, you meet with whether you want to or not. You meet with the head of security over here. She's a German, and she's cybered up to the nines, and the Khmer Rouge, the Cambodian government have subcontracted defense to Knight Errant, the Ares police force, and she is their lieutenant. She's the one in charge. There are a few Cambodian police within the force, but almost all of them are foreigners, just like you. If there's anything that you want to talk to her about, you can.
So Arctic, sorry, these are basically just police. They're not military.
They are military police. Like they are officially they're just cops, but because their job is to protect the last remnants of the government, they're more than cops, right? Yeah,
SWAT.
SWAT teams is a good analysis. Or embassy
Paramilitary?
guards, paramilitary. Well, yeah, that kind of implies a little bit of unofficialness, but yeah, paramilitary is a viable term. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to do just a quick assessment of what they have here, like how many men, what kind of equipment they got. You know, do they seem well trained, disciplined? Do they seem to know what they're doing? Are they efficient?
Low numbers, very low numbers. They probably have about a total of maybe 50, all things said, but that's protecting the hospital and town hall and currently off duty and all that sort of stuff. So they've probably got about 50 operatives, which means that they have roughly 20 at any one time, or maybe 30 in extreme examples, because people still on duty, because people still have to sleep. You can't run everyone for 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Do they seem competent though? Like, do they take their guard duty seriously? Do they slack off? Do they not pay
They're
attention?
highly competent. They're highly competent, but they're not Shadowrunner competent. They're rank 4 to put it simply. Someone with 4 ranks in firearms or agility or strength or body, that sort of stuff.
It's about the equivalent of high-end corp security, but not
Exactly.
getting into Firewatch territory or anything like that.
No, that's right. Yeah, they certainly she's the lieutenant's obviously more competent than that, but you don't need to be told that.
And does her cyberware all seem to be pretty high grade stuff?
It's German, yeah.
I nice and sleek, good, nice lines.
Yeah, that's right. A couple of years old, perhaps, but but in the 2060s, it would have been cutting edge.
Alpha grade plus or something. Yeah. Cool.
Sees the compound, and when you turn up and you see that, perhaps your heart sinks a little, because it looks like the gains that you made are being taken by your employer.
I expected that. I don't know about
Well,
everyone
we
else.
should call him up because there's shit in here that, like, intel-wise we need. His comm link, his RCC. And these guys
Yep.
work for him, technically. So yeah.
Shall I like call him out?
Yeah. Tell him we need stuff like the comm link for intel and the RCC for the airport, but also try to make it, known that the other shit here would be very useful to us too.
Node as well. Andre suggested. Host.
Yeah, overall, like, we're the best people in his employ to make use of this stuff.
So we need his comm link, the RCC, and the node, but anything
That we
else would
know.
be useful.
We've already got
Yeah.
his comm link.
Oh, so I don't need to ask for that one? Well, any other comm links, I guess.
He had his comm link on him, and we captured him. I would have thought the node would be a much more physical and heavy-duty object. I wouldn't have thought that such a thing would be transportable.
It wouldn't be. It'd be essentially installed in, so we'd
Yeah.
just need to be able to have access to it.
Precisely, and that's
Server
fine.
room.
Yeah. So you'll have continual access to it. You can come in here. In fact, you can base yourself in here if you want to base yourselves in the compound with all of its industrial military defences. Then by all means you're able to. The RCC, he doesn't really understand the significance of it, and so when he looks at the assets he has gained, several vehicles, bulldozers, machine guns, and you say, look, we just want this piece of tech, and he doesn't know what it does anyway, waves it away, and he's fine with you taking it, not really comprehending what he's giving away. Yeah, and as I said, you can use this place as a base if you want, and it'll be protected by some of the best security officers that are in the country.
These super cops, where are they based at the moment?
Town hall, more or less, yeah. Their prime objective is to protect the government operatives, the ministers, and that means that they're basically operating out of town hall and then being sent to the hospital and so on from there.
So once they've secured this, I'll probably post a few guards here, but for the most part, move back to town hall.
Precisely, that's right. They are relying on the fact that the place is bristling with machine guns to keep out the vagabonds.
What kind of RCC is this?
Rank 2, if that is a thing.
Yeah, device rating 2.
Yeah.
It's like a Radio Shack remote controller.
That means nothing to me. Like that's less than
Probably.
nothing to me. It just confuses me.
Yeah.
It's probably
I'm
cutting edge
just-
in Cambodia.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
find it hilarious that Radio Shack is still a thing in Shadowrun.
But not in the real world, right?
Yeah.
The Radio Shack's gone, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've been
Apparently,
gone for
one of
quite a
the
while.
megas picked them up in Shadowrun. And now they make fucking rigger RCCs.
A Radio Shack radio controlled truck when I was a kid, and it was the best fucking thing I ever had.
So, are we basing now in Clockwork's compound?
I am.
I mean, I suppose having an
Alright,
actual compound's nice because I want to actually get some like animals in the future so that I can train them up. We can't just keep them in like. I don't think the interior minister wants us to keep them in the
We're
like
not
the
turning
government
this
building.
place into your zoo.
Yes, we will.
You
What's,
can get yourself a farmhouse.
But I don't
How
mean like
many
just
of these-
cows and things. I mean like useful ones.
You can still
He's
get
already got-
yourself a farmhouse.
He's already got kennels here.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, because
If they
Clockwork
eat
had
the
dogs.
locals, that's just saving you dinner.
So, how many of these child soldiers did we bring back?
20 or a round
Ah.
number.
Just fucking frogged march 20 child soldiers all the way back to Siamese.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to split them into 2 quote unquote platoons.
Yeah.
Probably squads, 10
Yeah,
each.
I'm gonna say that's a pretty small platoon, but yeah, sure.
Okay, so 2 squads.
Yeah,
Each
2
squad
squads,
has
yeah.
2 fire teams,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
have them start working on some kind of makeshift shelter here inside the junkyard.
Good little workers, hey, you know. They might be
Well, I
14-year-old
can't-
girls, but they're good little workers.
I can't have animals, but you're just gonna let them have 20 child soldiers?
I didn't just let him have 20 child soldiers. He just what the? I don't want
I'm
these
gonna-
things in my compound near my vehicles. You can keep them at the hotel. You know what? Everybody's just gonna buy their own farmhouse to run their shady operations. Okay, that's the rules.
No, Trey's already have them start. They're already working on.
I got
I'm
control of
gonna-
the turrets, motherfuckers.
I'm gonna periodically start
Bricked
taking one.
turrets?
Look, if you're
Oh
gonna
yeah, we
shoot
do have to
down
fix
20
those.
innocent children, that's on you.
Cyber psychosis.
The innocent
The
children.
Nuremberg defense of Shadowrun. Yeah, innocent children.
I'm gonna like while they're doing their thing, I'm just gonna every now and then just take one kid away and
Sure.
alter their
Boy or
memory.
girl?
That boy for starters.
Sure.
And I'm just gonna have a chat with him. And as I'm having a chat, I'm gonna alter his memory to make him think that we actually saved his ass from the Khmer Rouge, those dastardly fucks. And we've given him a place to stay. It's safe. Like we've basically we're his saviors.
The thing is that you didn't really have to alter his memory to make him think that, but
okay.
nonetheless, yeah, he becomes kind of fanatical in the way that only teenagers who've just discovered politics really can be. You know, they've got this very narrow view of the world, but they're fanatical about it because communism is good / bad / insert political ideology here. You know what I mean? And so yeah, they become some of your most fanatic supporters.
Cool.
So if you point out who you've done that to, I will use some of those AKs to rearm them, back up the turrets.
The police, like the G9, the lieutenant wants to know, do you really think that this is a good idea?
I'll just look at her and start speaking in Thai.
Rolls her eyes and then uses her auto translate to try to get what you're saying, and even then it's still just gibberish. So she rolls her eyes again.
Yeah, it'll be mainly quotes from the Goonies and Bugs Bunny.
Perfect.
But in Thai.
So we have
yeah.
a compound, with 20 armed dudes who were Khmer soldiers 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, they're relatively confident. They're what I call 2-2s. 2 points in their attribute, 2 points in their skills.
I think I'm going to stay at the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Oh well, at least we don't have to worry about splitting bedrooms anymore, Mako.
Yeah, right.
Okay, something that was brought up that I wasn't clear on. When we first got this job, do we get paid our first month's operational expenses up front? The
We got given
35K?
5,000 million each for partying for the night as a show of appreciation for taking the job.
Okay.
Or
I think I have to wait for
5K.
the first 30 days to get the payment.
Yeah, that's
No,
my understanding. Yeah.
I thought the 5K quote unquote operating budget is what Omen had. But he uses bargaining to get up front.
Well, I don't remember that. I just remember that at the end of the meeting, he, as a sign of goodwill, gave us 5K each to go celebrate. Which is why we then did all those encounters with the wrestling and
The guitar and shit.
the guitar and stuff.
Yeah, I think your
yeah,
first payment
okay,
comes in at the end of the
yeah.
month. And we're
I was
probably
about
about
to
halfway
say,
through the month by now anyway. Like, we've been here for a
my
couple of
count,
days.
it's been about. It is the first of the month technically, and we've been here just over a week.
A week?
I think
Cool.
it'll be
Yeah.
a little bit longer
9
because we had to
days.
wait for
That's nice.
Homan to heal, and then we surveilled the compound for a little while.
And now it's another day re-railing the train and getting it back. So,
Okay,
it's starting
so
to
it'll
add
be
up.
about 10 to 11 days now. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So
Be
we'll
like
call
a
it 10
third of a
days.
month.
That's
We
yeah,
sat
one
around
third of
for
a
a
month.
couple of days waiting for him to order pizza as well.
Yep. Yeah, we'll call it 10 days out of 30 because that's a nice simple figure.
If we were to like just make a list of the things we've done so far, like what, like just because we're going to report to Mr. Yellow what we've done, so what would we tell him at the end of the month?
Make sure we
We-
mention the sniper
yeah.
check as well.
Yeah, salted compound, flipped clockwork, pumped him for info, have identified targets in the area, rescued the train, took out a Khmer operative, discovered there's some kind of Matrix threat.
He's very happy with your progress, but doesn't understand what you mean by matrix threat. He doesn't really care. You can, just give him a brief answer and that'll satisfy him. But the rest of it all made sense to him until that part.
Which part didn't make
Probably
sense?
gonna
Sorry?
He
Matrix
probably
threat.
just that he doesn't understand. Is it that he doesn't know the Matrix, or just that's quite that? I mean, it's just a very vague sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably going to say that that's something that would be better explained in person.
Absolutely. So if you want to organise a meeting with him, then he'll take his time off his busy schedule of snorting cocaine to meet with you.
And talking about threats, like should we like turn our devices on and off like regularly or something?
Yeah.
Did you catch that, guys? He loves Nova Coke.
Mm-hmm.
We have exorbitant
Yeah.
amounts of Nova
Who
He
Coke.
doesn't
doesn't?
love
I
Nova
mean,
Coke.
He's a rich man.
Right.
Come on, like-
Well, I'm just thinking we have Coke.
like
Yeah.
Shadowrun, it's basically the 80s, but it went on forever, you know?
But yeah, nonetheless.
But I think our negotiating position just, has been strengthened.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah! Like this guy's a pushover. Like it was kind of a revelation to realize like this guy's not the boss in this arrangement. Like whoever that asshole in Bangkok is.
Instead of calling them both Mr. Johnson, can we call one of them the Interior Minister and the other Mr. Yellow?
They're Mr. Yellow and Mr. White, but yeah, you can call him the Interior Minister.
Okay, Mr. White. Okay,
For
that's what
Mr.
I'll call him.
Johnson.
Yeah, but
It
it's
is
confusing because I
confusing
didn't know which
character,
one you were
but that's-
talking about.
Well, that's
Local
kind of the point.
Johnson and Bang Johnson.
So this guy is that one of the accuser games?
I'd say so.
Okay.
There's not a lot of Asian shadow running icons that I can find with an easy Google search.
Yakuza's awesome. Yeah. Godfather will go in for a meeting with Mr. White. You probably asked Mako to come along because she knows Matrix as well, but she doesn't have to.
Yeah, I'll come along. I don't have a whole lot I can tell him about it yet, though.
Well, we should at least explain the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I don't really think we need a face for this. We're just telling him something in person that I don't think we should tell him over Matrix. Yeah, we'll as we go in, I'm gonna kill all of our wireless stuff just in case, and see if he has anything running wirelessly.
I no doubt they'd have things running wirelessly. Most modern buildings do.
His Nova Coke mirror is probably wireless to tell him just how much he's got on it, in his lines.
Exactly. You are 73% dead from excess drug use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, when you kill the switches, the secretary is trying to send through wireless messages, and they're just not getting through. We've got a problem again, sir. Everyone speaks English in here, by the way, or they speak Thai. No one speaks Khmer.
Naturally, it's a filthy, dirty language for peasants. Anyway, yeah, but once that's sort of done, Godfather's going to explain that we've uncovered that there's some kind of sophisticated wireless bug being transmitted through what seems to be the local grid.
I can understand
It's
that.
more like a
Can't-
virus than a bug. But,
Can't you hunt it down?
Well,
well, we're working on that. We only just discovered it early.
yeah, but you should be advised
Satisfies him.
because it's based on its sophistication, which is beyond anything I've ever seen. It's almost certainly infected every system you have.
I mean, frankly, my
Sounds good.
hardware is not really up to snuff to really properly fight this thing, but I'll try to come up with a workaround.
What would you suggest? That we send handwritten notes to each other?
I don't know if
I'm
there's
simply
anything
advising
to
you
do
at
to
the
counter.
moment that any sensitive communiques are at risk of interception.
Tell them about the carrier pigeon.
What's a carrier pigeon?
It's a
Pigeon.
bird that you put your message on, and it flies to a
The
point.
shit they used to do a couple centuries ago, right?
Actually, now that I think of it, pigeons and rats are probably some of the only creatures that still have survived to 2075. They are not going extinct.
Yeah, rats like mutated into super rats that kill people.
Pigeons
And
were rigged with bombs to create the most sophisticated aerial mines ever created.
75% of the pigeons out there, though, are currently like just cleverly disguised spy drones.
Yeah, that's it.
The only reason the corporations tolerate them anymore and haven't driven them to extinction is to disguise their spy drones.
Relation to him, and it's an important one. And he has to decide whether to take it seriously or not, whether to be, inconvenienced, because it's going to take him that much longer to get his coffee if he has to send a note to go and to get a coffee, or if it's worth just risking. And he ends up making a compromise. He still uses some technical communiques, but more sensitive stuff. Yeah, it goes back to the old-fashioned way of using handwritten notes.
But I suppose like sending a text to your secretary or the room to get you a coffee is not really something the Khmer Rouge can use.
Unless they put poison in the coffee, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, quickly, the secretary is gone. His defenses are down. Storm the building.
Damn, we missed it by 3 hours.
Anyway,
I mean,
you
I
can
also
advise them
propose
that-
using the leak to your advantage. Send the occasional bad intel.
I already thought of that, he says, showing you how highly intelligent and nefarious he really is.
Yeah, bad intel's a specialty of his.
Accurate.
No, I mean to the enemy.
Yes, I meant that too. Yeah. So they consider that another weapon in their arsenal that they'll be able to use, feeding false information, and even if it means minor inconveniences for themselves.
Maybe just set up a secure room where you can have your high level discussions in absolute matrix blackout.
They ask if you're able to do that.
Set that up.
With the right equipment, yeah, that wouldn't be hard.
Yeah. As long as it can be done for like less than 50,000 nuyen, then they will deem it worthwhile.
Yeah,
Do it
I'm
with a
pretty
car battery,
sure.
chicken wire.
I mean, there's paint that just blocks wireless signals too. I mean,
Faraday cages can't be that expensive to make, right? You know?
No.
Now you can make one normally by just like running aluminum and electrifying it, can't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could do it for a tenth of that price, I would imagine.
Mhm.
Copper, steel. There's a lot of ways to do it. Anything that'll carry a signal.
If it electrocutes the odd intern, well, so be it.
No, it
Or
doesn't even have to
Chimera
do that.
anyway.
It can be passive.
Yeah, there's the kind that like jams and the kind that blocks. But so yeah, it's just
Mhm.
it'd be cheaper to do the kind that jams, but safer to do the kind that blocks.
In any case, it's probably only going to take you another day or two. So if you want, that can bring us up to 12 days, or we can put it off for
And just,
various reasons.
Even with the Faraday cage, though, I tell him, you make sure don't let people bring devices in here.
Will it try them?
Well, no, but there are still things that can transmit out.
Well,
Oh,
it's not that they'll be able to transmit out. It's they'll be able to listen while they're in and then
record.
transmit when they leave.
oh,
That's the other thing. Yeah.
very well. I shall endeavor to only allow people in here under the most important circumstances. And he follows your instructions to a T. It seems that he's gaining some amount of respect of you and is willing to do whatever you advise.
Oh, by the way, we called them on our comm link, right? So we should probably check that for viruses again.
I mean, it's gonna be there.
The little red soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
We're in the city. It's gonna be there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd
Yeah.
rather it still not be translating or transmitting my every move. I mean, I got a deck. I can do it myself probably, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you discover that their entire network is compromised. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll clean it off my own stuff, but I'm not gonna bother doing it to his because it'll get right back from wherever it's sourcing.
Cool.
At this point, until we can kind of find a way to keep it out with our firewalls, it's just gonna keep getting better. So we're gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, it's very hard to keep a device like that isolated, and if you do keep it
Mhm.
isolated, it doesn't do its basic function.
Yeah, exactly.
A complete success, and you're back to the drawing board. You're able to decide when and where and what, why, how, and in any case, the government appears to be very satisfied with your progress. They had some serious misgivings about bringing you into this, but in spite of yourselves, you've excelled.
Yeah, next moves. So what? We brought like 20 child soldiers back, right?
Uh-huh.
And Andre has, or I keep calling you Andre. Trey has rearmed them with AK-97s.
Grenades as well.
No grenades.
All right.
Have to earn grenades.
They like grenades, but all. How much ammo did you give them each?
I mean, just like 2 magazines each.
Yeah,
One in, one refill.
that's basically what they came with. So
I mean-
yeah, that's cool.
Trey's not married to the idea. Like, this is just once he realized they were fully committed. He, like I said, he had them building barracks, organized them into squads, had them patrolling the compound.
The truth is that they're halfway to automatons in the first place, right? Like, communism is a very effective brainwashing tool, particularly when you start really young. And when your soldiers only have a collective IQ of about 70, that just makes it all the easier, right? These kids are not intellectuals. Most of them can't spell in their own home language, and Hitler will tell you that the youth are pretty effective as a propaganda unit, right?
All the ones that ever questioned everything have already been purged.
So they do what they are told.
Cool.
How much would be like a Tridio machine?
There might be
Pretty
rules
cheap.
for that.
I forget exactly how much, but it's in the core book.
They'll probably range from about 200 to
Tridio
2,000.
set, do you want a small, medium, or large one?
Of course, large.
Small one.
Who wants a small one?
Small one for small one for 100, large one for 2,000.
I guess I'm
Medium
getting the
for
small
500.
one. There we go. That's my price. Medium.
All
And
right,
I want a
medium
bunch of
Tridio
80s action flicks. A lot of Rambo.
What's a
and
Shadowrun
Lethal Weapon.
Netflix subscription cost?
I'm not sure, but we just pirate it around here anyway.
Yeah,
Hey.
I'm gonna fill them up on 80s-esque hardcore American patriotic.
Anti-communist.
They had
A lot of
no
Chuck
idea.
Norris, a lot of Rambo.
They had no idea that Americanos were so tough.
And that communist, so evil. That's just every night that's going to be required watching.
Wow.
They watch Rocky once a week.
I'll set up a boxing gym later.
They come to believe that New York is the greatest city in the world.
How rare are like power critters and stuff like that?
Depends where you mean. Like, I mean, devil rats are fucking everywhere, right? But in the jungle, you can expect paracritters to be quite common. Somewhere between 1 in 10 and 1 in 100 animals is a paracritter.
Okay. Because there was one I was sort of looking at in the book, Gomatias. There's sort of like big chameleon things, about the size of a dog, and they live in jungles. So I suppose would there be them in the nearby jungle?
Does it say which jungle? Because like they tend to be,
Terrain jungle.
usually. But does it say then what animal it's descended from?
I'll have a read through it again, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, they usually tell you where they evolved from, and like something that evolved in South America may or may not have made it to Asia. Where if it evolved in Asia, it's almost certainly here already.
Yeah, just so you know, we don't have nearly enough ammunition for these kids, so they're getting like 10 bullets each.
Yeah. They're as competent with the knife as they are with the gun, though, and
So
they're
equally
relatively
incompetent.
Exactly, equally incompetent, but enough to go hunting devil rats with a club and a knife.
Fair enough. Pass out like 10 Colt Americas to them with a clip of ammo, because we can do that.
Oh,
No AK.
it has the word America in it. They're immediately
right.
much stronger.
Actually,
Yeah, only
I would
10
tell
of them get them though, and then a hierarchy is established.
It
Once
is.
we get cuts.
No, that's exactly how you do it.
It is.
The platoon, the squad leaders each get one, the sergeants each get one, and the gunners each get one. And then I tell them I want 10 devil rats for every bullet.
Now, every man under my command takes on, damn it. You all owe me 100 devil rat scalps, and I want my scalps.
You reduce the number of devil rats in your compound by 50%.
Great, we just fed them as well.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's all part of quote unquote training.
I teach them a great recipe for devil rat burgers.
What do you do for job experience? Well,
How do the police guards react to all this?
Can they even see inside our beautiful walled compound?
they're doing they're running operations from here as well, so they will, and they are utterly disgusted that everything about the country disgusts them. Like you guys who've served, I can imagine that there are no shortage of soldiers who just look on the Iraqis with fucking disdain, right? And
Absolutely.
you know, absolute fucking disdain, and that's what these guys have got. It just reiterates how much better it is to be a rich white person than one of these guys.
What are they still doing here?
They're guarding
Well,
the compound.
yeah, that's right. The government doesn't want to lose it, and so while you're free to run from it, they consider it now a government asset.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's too good a compound for them to give up, right? Like it's militarized, and
Yeah.
they don't say it, but you know, the idea of letting you guys have exclusive control over it sets you up for a coup, and I don't say that, but it is in their mind.
Yeah, the turret mainframe we bricked it during our run, so we're probably gonna need to fix that.
They'd appreciate that.
It's not terribly hard, just a little bit of time, and I think software or hardware, I don't remember which.
Leave
If
it
you
both.
bricked it,
Fix
it'll be
something that's
hardware.
bricked.
Yeah, you'll need some new copper wires, maybe a new motherboard, whatever the fuck, I don't know. But
Yeah.
new graphics card, anyway, whatever. Yeah. So that might take another day, bringing us up to day 13. If you want to spend some time fixing repairing the grid.
Yeah, I think so, because those turrets are part of the compound's appeal. Yeah, we also got the triads kind of went out on a limb for us actually, so we owe them some payoff. I'm thinking we got some AKs and frags and Ares predators we could turn over to them.
And the nades as well.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
and
they're
just give them a
stoked.
whole haul.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently not the frags.
How many frags do we have?
35.
We'll take some and we can, yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind hanging on to a couple of grenades.
Yeah, I mean, take as many as you like. 20 frag grenades is basically as good as 35.
Yeah, you're not going to get any more sort of cred or whatever you want to call it by giving them 35 over 20. It's like giving a kid $100 or $150. It's it just means the same to the kid.
I didn't know money came in numbers that big.
Think of all the motorbikes I can buy with this.
Yeah. Oh, we'll also probably drop the auto dock off in Clockworks compound.
Yeah, it's a good spot for it.
Don't we want it in the hospital? This is what they're asking you. Like, wouldn't it be better in the hospital?
Yeah,
This is the backup in case the hospital gets destroyed.
Yeah.
They
the
accept
Khmer
that.
had, something in mind for both this and the hospital, so probably best we don't unite them.
Yeah, when you put it like that, like they are fully on board. After all, we can
Yep.
lose the hospital, but they still need somewhere to heal. And if we've got a backup
Yep.
auto dock, then that's good. That's good from a government elite perspective. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, what if the hospital gets swarmed with peasants and somebody important needs medical attention?
That's exactly their mentality. Like
Then you
they're not even being ironic about it. They just put it in those words. Yeah. Yeah.
These guys are my role models.
We'll make a minister of you yet.
So yeah, we'll send I guess the same guys that originally met with the triad to deliver our goodwill loot to them.
That'd be me and
yeah, we wanted
me.
to
Yeah,
Get the
no,
rundown from them on like the airport, the local drug trade operations, chef's operation, that sort of thing.
mhm.
Yeah, anybody who wants frag grenades, note how many you'd like before we do this.
I'll take 5.
So 5 have been taken, another 5 have been taken, that leaves 5 left.
Is 25 left.
Oh, right, I thought you gave away 20 of them.
Trey took 5. Ricochet took 5 out of the original 35, so we're handing over 25 now.
Right, okay, handing over 25, no worries. Yeah, they're stoked. Yeah,
30 AK 97s.
they think that they're ready to go. They think they're ready to assault the what are they, the Yakuza. But yeah, maybe not.
So yeah, let's talk to them about the how Chef's operation at the pyramid and if it extends beyond the pyramid with his drug trade, and just what the extent of it is here in the city.
Yep. All right. I'll give you a bit of an overview, and you can ask questions from that. So the Pharaoh Club, it's a pyramid-shaped building on the edge of the city. It's called the Pyramid as well, and it's the biggest, most expensive nightclub in town. There's no way you could build a nightclub this big in most modern cities. It just takes up too much land space. But of course, land is pretty cheap around here, and thus you're able to enact ambitions that wouldn't be possible elsewhere. The chef here is Thai. That's right. Yeah. So although the pyramid is obviously a business and a very expensive one, it's the most expensive drinks in town, expensive admission, all that sort of shit. It's really designed for the elite and for tourists and for, I suppose, their prostitutes as well. Although it is an expensive place that does make money, that's not where he gets most of his money from. He gets most of his money from drug manufacture, and most of the drugs that are manufactured here are then distributed elsewhere. Some of them head down to Phnom Penh, the capital. A lot of them, maybe most of them, head back to Thailand, where they flood the streets used by affluent Thais and foreigners again. A few of them probably head all the way to places like Neo Tokyo and beyond. So it's a pretty widely dispersed organization with something of an international reach. But just on that, it's not hard to smuggle in Cambodia. It's got very porous borders, and provided that you're willing to cross through landmine-filled jungle, complete with all the dangers of the awakened jungle, then yeah, it's not too hard to get someone to carry 20, 30, even 40 kilograms of this shit and take it all the way into Thailand, where it can then be put on a plane and sent over to Tokyo.
Okay, so he's the head of like a small cartel.
Yeah, maybe a medium-sized cartel. It's not. I guess it's only one kitchen, so maybe it counts as small, but its reach is big, and it's up, and they make fuck tons of money, millions a year. Maybe I'm changing the subject a little bit, but the chef has some serious bodyguards. As you might expect for a guy who runs martial arts schools, he has a lot of martial artists to choose from in order to be his bodyguards. He's still the biggest motherfucker in town. The guy's cybered to the eyes. He's got cybernetics coming out the wahoo. But he likewise his bodyguards can expect to be very competent, particularly in hand-to-hand combat. Because yeah, he's like a martial arts master who is protected by black belts. You know what I mean? They're not black belts because they're Muay Thai, but now we're getting into technicalities.
Fair, yeah.
I swear to God, if we have to fight ninjas, I'm out.
I need a little bit more time, and I think I got that.
Okay,
I
so
mean, we need a kung fu battle at some point in this campaign.
Now, so I know he's got the schools, but he was an MMA champion, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like Muay Thai is obviously his specialty, but he was an MMA champion. Because I mean, between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai, well, what is MMA?
pretty much, yeah.
Is there any kind of fight clubs still going in this town, or does he like kind of
The
get out of
pyramid.
that?
Yeah, the pyramid
Is there
has
different
like
fights
show
there?
battles, like maybe 6 times a year. Dana White, the cyborg Dana White turns up and opens up the fight.
Do we know when the next one is?
Let's say in probably several weeks away. I'll make it random. Let's see, 6 weeks.
All right, and like, do they tend to have a series of fights or just one fight, like one title match kind of thing?
There's a couple of fights, warm ups. Like any sort of rock concert or any other event. They'll have maybe a novelty event like midgets boxing. Then a proper event where the locals take on the locals. Maybe the Siem Reap fucking fighting club takes on someone from down in Phnom Penh. And then we get to the serious, real battle. And if you know MMA, the whole thing doesn't last longer than about half an hour anyway.
Yeah, and so I'm assuming there must be some kind of other fight establishments here, which is where he draws probably some of that talent from.
Absolutely, he has like a chain, a literal chain of Muay Thai schools, and so he's able to bring them in
Pulls
from
them out of the
Thailand
schools.
or Siem Reap and
Yeah,
so on.
he
Yeah,
pulls them out of the schools though, so he doesn't have like
his
the
own
other.
schools. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. But the title fight's different. Anyone. He might bring in Americans or fucking Brazilians or Israelis. Anything.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe there was some kind of like other fight. Like, I know he does these big
Yeah.
showcase fights and stuff, but I wasn't sure if there was like smaller. Can't remember the fucking word.
School.
No,
Fight club?
Yeah, not really.
Oh,
Like regional shit.
Yeah,
You're
like
talking about
regional.
just little exhibition tournaments.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
exist as well. Yeah, they definitely exist. Like on both a street
Leagues.
level, on
Leagues.
the leagues. No other leagues. No, there's no other league. But there are street fights and other far less organized things.
And is he involved in any of that we know of?
Not really. He'd no doubt send out scouts and stuff like that, looking for talent.
Yeah, cool.
But
I wouldn't mind
yeah,
doing a little bit of legwork to find out what involvement he is in with that.
yeah, basically the talent scout. He's got far too much on his plate to be bothered about that. But
Yeah.
some of his lieutenants will go out and maybe film the fight, and the guy will decide whether or not it's worth recruiting
I
this
just think
guy to the
that could be a
groups.
potential way to get into the pyramid and get some intel in there. Would be if
We might be
participating
able
in
to
that.
just go into the pyramid too.
Oh yeah, I'm
What-
thinking to go in and watch the fights.
What,
and
just
see
get
if
into a
maybe
fight with him
go
and
to-
just like kill him?
maybe to go do some gambling. I don't
Maybe
think
just
he's
see if there's like a
fight
YouTube
before.
video of one of his fights.
Oh, I want to actually like go to the pyramid itself as well.
Talking
Yeah, I don't
about
see
the
why there's
pyramid, Yep.
any reason not to go there.
There are basically two pricing schemes for entering the pyramid. One is a nightly fee, and it's piss for you guys, but it's too expensive for the locals. 15 million entrants or something like that. No Khmer worth their salt is going to fucking pay that. On the other hand, there's also a season pass. I can't recall exactly how much it costs, so I can bring it up pretty quickly. And a season pass basically, or a
I mean, I think we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves here. Like, aren't we still aiming to do the airport before Chef?
I'm aiming to do legwork first.
Yeah, but I mean, like one at a time. I think would be easier and like better to keep track of.
Yeah, we risk missing something important if we're not watching both. I think we have the manpower to be able to split our attention a bit, but
Yeah, definitely. Like, 'cause I was thinking we would set up surveillance on the airport, and then we can just go and review the surveillance.
so my thought is we can kind of split our assets a bit for this. We can probably put, one or two people on airport duty, maybe three if we want to split 50-50. We can have a couple people looking into chef. And if we have any other things we want to look into, we can kind of tack
With
that
our
onto
party
as a
comp,
third option.
we can have one mage, one combat dude, and one tech dude
Mhm.
on each.
Yeah.
Now I went and did some physical surveillance on the airport already, and I'm pretty sure as part of that there was a little hut that I'd found, which is kind of where I camped out for the day to watch from. And that I was thinking that could be a good location, possibly to set up like a camera.
Do we have like camera equipment and stuff like that?
I'm sure we could get some. Pretty cheap.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got some sensor tags, but those are more close range.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me check what pricing would be on like a decent surveillance camera. Okay, 100 million per rating.
Finishing up the sorry.
And then the rating lets you add like night vision and thermal and stuff to it, doesn't it? Basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For the we're still in the middle of a triad meeting, right?
Sure.
What's the situation with like or what do they know about like the airport and the drug trade in relation to it? Because that's what the Khmer's primary
Yeah.
interest in it is, correct?
These deal with the drug trade. Like they are one of the distributors. So one of the chef's lieutenants sells them drugs. They then, distribute it both on the street and, more importantly, they take it back to China where it can, where there's a real market. Not that there is a
Okay.
China, but anyway.
Well, yeah, the different Chinese states.
Yeah, exactly. The Chinas, the warring states.
So maybe they can help give us information on smuggling routes that are being used to take drugs out of the city, and especially ones that aren't theirs that we might be able to hit. Because if we start disrupting their drug trade, we're hitting them at the money, which is kind of what we need to start doing. We need to start hitting their resources so they can't keep funding their stuff as easy.
The routes are there's basically three versions of the routes. The most obvious one are airports and fucking the train. That's obviously been compromised recently, but so that's ruled out. The next most obvious ones are the roads. There are still, of course, roads that lead into this town, and as long as you're able to get past checkpoints, then then it's no problem. The most difficult one, the ones that are almost impossible to stop, no matter how good your surveillance is the jungle routes that I mentioned earlier, where you load a dude up with 40 kilograms in his backpack and you send him into landmine territory and hope that he doesn't get eaten by a tiger.
Okay. So
But it is sort of inconvenient if he does get eaten by a tiger.
yeah, but
And
it's
not
also
because you
not a
lose a tiger.
lot
Best,
of
you know.
drug.
Because then you got fucking coked up tigers, man, and let me tell you, dealing with coked up tigers is a challenge.
Sure.
Like that one part in Africa where they developed a taste for human flesh.
Yeah, it's like that, the Lion in the Darkness.
Except they're just fucking cokeheads.
This is how you get Jungle Book, man. Shere Khan, he just turns into a drug lord.
Okay. So do they know roughly how much volume, or So is the airport being used for the drugs or for the
Well,
Khmer's
because the
drug
airport,
trade?
the airport doesn't function anymore. No, the airport just doesn't function anymore, as far as they're aware.
Okay. So the Khmer are holding it, but there's no planes that have been coming in or out since they've
Correct.
seized it.
Yeah. Not that they're aware of. Yeah. But they haven't been. It's not something that they've been monitoring.
Check our messages from Red's comm.
It says the same thing, that the airport's not running.
Didn't they say something about like they wanted to take it though, so they could up their trade to Thailand or something?
Yeah, they still haven't secured it
Um,
yet at that point, I think. Or they just secured it.
Okay, we have the airport now, an airport without airplanes. I'll send someone to pick up the cargo and send it to Bangkok.
Yep, they're moving it through other means rather than the airport. That's kind of the
Or they're sending in a plane.
Yeah, or they're sending in a plane. That's something we should work out.
Oh, that's what surveillance on the airport's going to learn us. So yeah, they might have a Cessna now.
Yeah, they almost certainly have a Cessna now. Yeah, we gotta get our shitty death trap plane back. I put good money into making that thing a slightly less shitty death trap.
Wonder if they, because we didn't crash, like so all the drugs would still be on it. Wonder what they done with the drugs.
Yeah, they got a fully
want that
intact
back.
plane loaded with fucking Nova Coke, man. They
Yeah.
must have had, like, we killed like 8 of their guys and shot up their vehicles, but they still must have been like, you know what, net profit.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of want those drugs back though. There was a lot of drugs.
Hang on, maybe
Some good
this
shit
plane was
there.
originally theirs.
Really?
Well, the Nova Coke was in it when we got the plane.
Yeah.
They're not moving Nova Coke though. I think they're moving
Yeah.
like skins and shit, like boner or rhino or those like rhino
Well,
boner pills and shit. Like
They've got the farm.
they're also moving drugs. We don't know what the farm does exactly. So
isn't the farm part of the operation where they're like, or never mind.
that could be code too.
I thought-
I mean, we just don't
Oh,
know.
we
Like
lost
it's very vague.
I thought that
Maybe
was
you
what
missed
the
something.
chef's
I thought the
involved.
farm was just the place where they're making like the cheap super soldiers.
We don't know.
I mean, that's fuck. That's the project. There's too many goddamn code words in this campaign.
But I thought the
So,
project was like the name for like
oh.
but like the farmhouse could be the place they actually keep the children.
Why?
Yeah, the project is the overall let's
Well,
figure out the best way to make a super soldier program.
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought the
saying the
chef's
farm might
involved
just
in
be a
it. He was
location.
involved with the drugs.
Why don't you guys ask the children we rescued about where the evil Khmer Rouge held them?
I'm sure these kids would be great. I mean, yeah, you're their daddy figure now. Like, I'm sure they'll trust you the best.
So
Also,
yeah,
I
I
am
will-
highly suspicious. This is like you have a pattern of making child soldiers.
have a pattern of good organizational skills. So yeah, I will set them up one night over rice and devil rat, and get them to tell me about all of the evils that they remember from their time held by the dirty communist Khmer Rouge.
Arctic's not here right now, but yeah.
Oh shit. Well then.
I was gonna say about like the
Fuck
animals I was looking for. Like the thing doesn't actually say where they live.
Yeah.
The only things I can
What
find
kind of
Does it say
animals
what
do you
it's
want?
from?
the Gomatias. They live in jungles and they're chameleons. And the second thing I can
Yeah,
find is apparently they're very cheap. They probably live in the jungle. It's like chameleons live in the jungle, I think. And
Yeah, that sounds South American.
How do you
to me.
spell it?
So Arctic.
Gomatia. It's on page 62.
They're awakened chameleons, so they live anywhere chameleons do.
And according to Wikipedia, the best source of information,
Pretty
Is
much.
there another?
chameleons live in Africa, Madagascar, southern Europe, across southern Asia, as well as Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so there'll be chameleons here. I thought they would do.
Cool. He wants to buy an awakened chameleon.
Oh yeah. You probably have to go to Bangkok or something. Maybe Phnom Penh. They don't sell them here. Although maybe you can, just recruit a local to go and find one. That's how it happens. They have to source them from somewhere.
And I'm probably good enough that I could train a wild one, possibly.
Yeah.
If you can catch it.
Your code name should be Irwin.
You can find it.
It's a
Beastmaster.
chameleon.
So Arctic,
Yeah.
one night I'll sit the two squads down over rice and devil rat, and they'll
Yeah.
ask for all of their stories of what they can remember from their time as captives with the evil commies out in the jungle. And I will interview and let each one talk about where they were, what they saw, how many people, etc., etc.
Horror stories, hey? They all know someone who was murdered by the Khmer Rouge. They're all serving out of fear and out of desperation. It kind of reads like a really abusive father scenario where dad was a drugged up alcoholic who shot mum in the head and then made me fight. That's the kind of Supreme Leader really instills in their little brains that he is a kind of grandfather figure, father of the nation, father of the culture, that sort of stuff. And anyone who opposes him is any seditionist is kind of like an enemy of the state, an enemy of the culture, all those sort of things. But the reason why the Khmer Rouge uses child soldiers is because they killed most of the adults. It's a fucking horror story. They in many cases they use the most efficient means of murder, and efficient being the cheapest. Khmer have these things called karate, which is a scarf. And much like in the Middle East, where different types of scarves indicate your tribe, so it is over here. Different types of karate tend to indicate the family or the region you're from. It's just a little bit of cultural insight. It's not that important, but it's kind of like being choked with the American flag, right? Like let's save a bullet. I know, let's just strangle them. What are we going to use? Let's use the American flag. It's similar to that. When you use someone's karate to choke them, you're using their own cultural heritage as a weapon of murder. And then they often don't even bury the bodies. They just chuck them on the fucking ground and let the dogs and the devil rats do the rest. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. Babies, they take the babies and they smash them against the fucking palm tree to bust open their brains, because babies are expensive. I'd rather have a child soldier that I can indoctrinate that's the age of 6 than a 6-month-old I'm just going to have to feed for the next 2 years before they can do anything at all. And although often they cry during these talks, often they break down, just as often they don't. Just as often they just talk systematically about the way it was. They know it's traumatic, they know it's gruesome, but in their little brainwashed minds, it's just the way it is.
So
Can I get a description of the Godfather?
I was about to ask, have any of them met him in person, or seen him? I mean,
have any seen the Supreme Leader? None of them have seen the Supreme Leader. No.
Do they
No,
know?
I didn't mention that the trials of rape that most of them have been through. 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, but in many ways that goes without saying. It's as horrendous as you could possibly imagine. They don't work hard enough in the rice fields. They get amputated limbs and so on. Efficiency. The Supreme Leader and the Khmer Rouge as a whole are built on efficiency. And if chopping off the hands of a child because he doesn't work fast enough gets everyone else to work faster. You've improved efficiency.
So I think we haven't met someone who's actually seen the Supreme Leader in person.
No.
I know it's crazy, but I'm still a subscriber to like the AI. He's an AI theory.
I mean, an AI might be autistically obsessed with efficiency as well.
I mean, we've all met that player too.
That's in the background. You actually just got that guy who did like real life city planning in game to be the villain.
Jesus, fucking
Like I said,
it's
we've
hilarious.
all met that guy. So we are going to put surveillance on the airport. Are we going to do that other thing we were talking about with Ricochet and, you know, the wait for it?
I'm not sure which other thing you're talking about.
Securing more assets.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. If we want to put someone on that to start looking into that, absolutely.
I think it'd be good just to have an better idea for what's going on in the city as well.
Yep.
Like, how popular would the Khmer Rouge be? Like, how much support do they have within the city itself?
I guess we haven't
Depends.
gauged that. Or do you? It depends on who you ask and what research you do.
I suppose people don't respond to flyers.
Probably not typically.
Are
We
they-
got some info from the
I remember when I lived in
The,
Kenya, like you didn't like when people asked you who you voted for, you didn't answer them. So I suppose it's even worse here.
I didn't know you lived in Kenya, but that would give you a good insight into what it's like here. You know, Kenya is a more developed state than Cambodia, but they suffer from similar issues. So I
Oh,
expect.
I lived like in the middle of between both of the major political parties. That was fun.
Yeah, right. Were there street fights and shit? Like,
I can't remember
did-
much, but there was a time where
Yeah.
a truck full of people with guns just pulled into the driveway. I was like, "We need to hide in your house," and Mum was like, "No, go away."
yeah, fuck off. You know, don't no, not here, buddy. You know, we're white people. We don't want to get involved in this shit.
Yeah, and that's like, yeah, fair enough, and then they left.
Oh well, that's good at least. You know, at least I didn't push the point. Anyway, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose
Arctic,
we can ask
did
the
you say
interior,
that-
I mean, Mr. White, like how like the general public feeling about the Khmer Rouge. Like, how likely is the average person to hide like an operative?
He says it's impossible to route them out because it's like every single family has Khmer Rouge members. It seems, although whether it's you know, you've got to understand the family structure over here. We in the West, we have nuclear families, and yeah, we know our cousins, but we don't spend a lot of time with them. Whereas in places like this, your second and your third cousins are practically your brothers and sisters, right? And when every branch of the family has fucking 10 kids, the family unit ends up becoming 50, 60 people big instead of 4 or 5 or 6 people big. So their definition of family is different to our definition of family. And when you look at it like that, it's not hard to see why everyone has Khmer Rouge in their family, because your family is 50 people big.
And even if you like don't agree with the Khmer Rouge, you don't really want to give up like your cousin who's like basically your brother.
Absolutely right. You know, you might not like them, but you know, most people have some degree of loyalty to their family, and their loyalty tends to be greater than their loyalty to the government. There are exceptions, notably these children. They would have ratted their parents out because, you know, because they get their hands chopped off if they don't.
And were you saying that these kids said that Khmer Rouge used ritualized scarring?
Not maybe rituals. Yeah. They brand their operatives. Yeah, which is the same thing, I guess.
Do these kids have brands?
Yeah.
Where do they have brands?
Where would they have it? In different locations. Some of them would have them in obvious places. If they were, they might have them on their forehead if they were a bad little boy. But generally in a more subtle area, upper arm perhaps. It's the same places that we tend to have tattoos, arms and thighs and so on.
Is it
But
the
some
same
people
brand every time?
Some people have face tattoos. No, not necessarily. They probably, have slight messages within those brands, and so they would have different meanings. The exact details escape me at the moment, but I'll see if I can find a reference to it.
That's okay. I'll just make
sure.
a copy of each type.
Yeah, they're crude, so they were not machine, operated, right? You know what I mean? They're crude, but you get the basic details, and because they are crude, it just makes them all the more easy to forge because no one's expecting it to be an exact copy.
So, and I will distribute that to the group as we want, if we keep an eye out for this, which is something maybe the technically inclined people, cameras, whatever. I mean, that might be intelligence operating. Even just placing cameras on the street and trying to pick up brands like this might be informative. Like from a statistical standpoint. Or it might help identify certain fronts, business fronts, etc.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like just looking for a needle in the haystack, unless we have a targeted area we want to start watching specific.
Well, but okay. So you set up a camera on, like, the market, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we'd be definitely reaching the limits of what my character would probably understand for the most part. But he has cyber eyes. He understands that you can put a program to recognize something, right? So, I mean, even him just walking around might be able to, have a program in his data jack through his cyber eyes to, just see what you see. If you pick up whatever, there's, I don't know how many different designs, but if they're on your forearm or your side of your neck or possibly on your lower leg or something, we're going to see them. It's fucking Cambodia. They're not going to be wearing a lot of clothes. And again, that might be an information source. It doesn't cost anything. You know what I mean? Like, just having those of us with cyber eyes walking around.
It does cost. I mean, we'd have to pay for the cameras. There's no real specific thing to do that. I mean, that would be like tied into your image enhancement and stuff, right? To give you that bonus percent. Also, you'd need a camera in there to record it so we could kind of filter it, right?
I mean,
it's not impossible to do, but
could I just use my cyber eyes and hard link comlink?
Probably.
I mean, I have a data jack plus, so that has memory.
I mean, everything has memory.
That would.
Your pants probably have like memory in them, you know.
Arctic, is that? Can we get a ruling?
I didn't hear all of it.
If like I have cyber eyes and I have a data jack plus, could I just like sit in the market and try to pick out other brands like these kids have?
Right. Sort of like
an
facial
extended
recognition.
perception.
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Short answer is absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a challenging prospect, and you're going to stick out like dog's balls far more than they do. But yeah, absolutely. A Chinese guy with cyber eyes that is studying the crowd is going to be more obvious than a fucking rice farmer who has a shitty tattoo. But it'll work. It's just that they're going to spot you fucking long before you spot them.
I don't know. That was my idea, guys.
Well, what do we want to accomplish right now? Like, what's our immediate goal? What's our short-term goal?
Let's set up recon on the airport and try to see if we can figure out when and if they got a plane coming in.
Okay, who do we want to put on the airport then to watch?
Ricochet.
Okay, Ricochet is going to the airport.
Yeah, we get price on a surveillance camera.
Is anyone else going to be going to the airport?
I'll do anything you need me to.
I mean,
So we're just sending Ricochet to the airport to watch. Is that what I'm getting?
well, we had discussed putting him in like a sniper blind,
Sure.
and if the opportunity comes up,
Okay. Okay, yeah, we can afford to do one good camera with low light and magnification.
I was gonna say, you said waiting for the opportunity, but you sort of cut out from me after that. So what was the opportunity?
if he gets a chance to geek that mage, and won't he have? Doesn't he have cyber eyes and shit?
Have cyber eyes yet?
I mean, that's what like Ricochet is like a cyber street sand.
Like
kind of.
he's,
I don't have that much cyber.
yeah, he's fine by himself. I'm just thinking if we want to do long-term surveillance,
But
we should get a camera.
can you
I
put
wouldn't
those like
mind-
tracking
we're gonna-
bugs like in all of the cyber weather?
I wouldn't mind having a mage with me.
Yeah.
I can go with him.
I mean, just remember, if you look in the astral, you look in the astral. So
Yeah, they're going to be pretty far away though. So
they'll still probably see us. I mean, that's their rule. If you can see them, they can see you.
yeah, but you
Well,
can't
that's what
see
I'm thinking.
through walls and stuff. So,
Yeah, just reminding if he tries to like spot spirits or figure out where the mage is, like they'll probably figure out we're doing surveillance.
Well, I mean, if he's in sniper blind also, and he's just looking out, and he doesn't actually go astral, he should be fine.
Yeah.
And I'm also
But
just
if he
thinking.
goes astral, it'll give away the sniper blind.
Well, not really, no, because on the astral you can't see through walls still.
Yeah, but if he gets in a position where he can see them astrally, they can see him astrally.
And what's the chance of
Not
both perceiving
necessarily.
at the same time?
Sorry?
I say, what's the chance that
I mean,
both?
not necessarily.
Well, odds are they're spirits, and yeah.
Relatively high
If it's
because
just her,
Yeah.
things
I mean,
stick
they'll
out like
be.
dog balls in the astral. Yeah.
This is an awakened jungle. They probably see astrally
Mhm.
active things wandering around all the time. And just because we can see them doesn't guarantee they can straight up see you. I mean, like, it's generally kind of the
spirits are
point of
also
field observation points is that you can see them without them being able to see you.
spirits are also very particular in what they do. So if they're not going to report every single astral signature they see, Period.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to happen. They're going to report ones that try to cross a certain threshold or meet a certain criteria.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Narrows
that.
it down a lot. Yeah, like it's whatever their command is, they're going to probably follow that to as close to the letter as they can. Maybe some intent, but like
Yeah, if you want them to report back every time they see an astrally fucking something with an astral signature, they'll find a devil rat and they'll come straight back to you. You know.
yeah, they're just
Also,
gonna. If he's like 1,000 kilometers, not kilometers, meters out, that's probably from like the perimeter of the airport. It's not going to draw a ton of attention, or however far they are for their sniper position.
I also just kind of like the idea of having a mage on hand in case a spirit finds me.
Mm.
I do have just useful spells as well that could just be helpful.
Okay, we'll stick Fenwick on that too then. I think that's
So
a
it could
good.
be handy if a critter turns up.
Yeah, and it's good to not be solo anyway on an Overwatch. So you accidentally fall asleep or something, you've got someone there to wake you up.
Yep.
Yeah, I can send a drone with you too if you want. Just so you got something that'll be permanently watching your back.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Fly spy or something.
I was thinking the Uzi one.
Mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something else I was thinking, but I lost it.
Okay, so we're pretty good on our airport. What else do we want to do? I guess what's everyone else going to be doing? Godfather, what's your plan for this?
Well, first of all, I'm going to boot up Clockworks RCC and confirm that it still has access to the tank in the airport.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no one has changed its parameters. So
All right. Second, I think I'm going to do get near the airport and do a matrix perception test to see what wireless devices are running from the airport, if they have like a computer or anything in there.
yeah, all right. Matrix perception from a kilometer away, right?
Yeah, about like as close as I can get where they're not shooting.
Yeah, sure. Probably. If you drive down, you're going down in your vehicle in
The pickup
tank?
probably.
In the pickup. Okay, pickup's a little bit better. Though you will spot that they send out some motorbikes to come and investigate. They do it almost immediately. You're the only vehicle, or at least the only non-fucking half-tractor vehicle or buffalo that has come down this far, and so they almost immediately send out a couple of dirt bikes. But they're not roaring down there, and they're not firing weapons. They're just coming to investigate. So if you want to be intercepted by the motorbikes, then you can stay as long as you want. If you don't want to be, then you're only going to have a handful of minutes before you're going to have to leave again.
Yeah, I'll probably just make this perception check and then reverse out.
Yeah, and from their perspective, it looks like somebody's come into their driveway. Oh, fuck, I'm getting out of here. And backed off again. There's nothing.
Yeah, wrong turn, wrong turn.
That's right. No, you cannot stay in my house. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, by all means, make a matrix perception check.
Well, like what happened last session is no, you cannot stay in your house.
Yeah,
We are
that's
here.
Just rolled 3 successes.
3 successes. It seems that pretty much every soldier has a comm link, a little shitty meta link. Beyond that, they are relying on the infrastructure already in place at the airport, which is quite obviously relatively high tech. An airport needs to have some pretty damn good communications and surveillance. They have radar and whatever else that is available in the near future. So that stuff's pretty much still fully operational, more or less. It's taken a few bullets. It's got a few bugs, but whatever the airport had to begin with is probably still functioning, and that's pretty extensive.
Okay, so they've taken over the node running the airport stuff.
Precisely.
Right?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, that's right. That's probably the simplest way of putting it, but it's worth elaborating that that a control tower of an airport is pretty fucking sophisticated with its electronic surveillance and defenses.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we got. I'm gonna put the suggestion forward to Gus or to Mako rather that we make an attempt at breaching the airport's nodes so we can get into their communications, both past and future.
Yeah, we can try that.
Yeah, we
You
can
want to
do
do that now, or
Yeah, probably best we do that as quickly as possible so we can get any intel. Maybe put a root worm in it
hmm
to forward its data to us, like currently and ongoingly, and give us a backdoor if we want to get in later.
it'll be hard to get a real back door per se, but we can get do a get something in there that'll help us probably.
Well, I don't imagine they have anybody seriously running Matrix in there. Like we can probably get away with doing something less than subtle. Like
Mhm.
can't you do a root worm that, like, every time it turns on, it just automatically transfers 3 marks to a certain device or something like that?
I mean, you don't know how technically skilled this commissar is.
Well, so a couple things with that though, and that you could probably do something like that, but marks expire fairly quickly, and it would only be
Yeah.
on reboot. So if we were to reboot it, then it would do that, right? But so it's a little tricky with how the mechanics of that work. But I think getting
Forgot marks
some
expire.
Mhm. Just getting a lay of the land in there isn't a bad idea though either.
Yeah, I mean we can
They
just
they
hack
only
it once
expire
to
when
get
you
the
reboot, though.
or yeah, like we can just hack it once to get the intel, and we can set it up to just auto forward things to us though, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we can do that, and when the operation comes again, we can hack to get the sort of like larger access we'd need.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I can assist you with this initial hacking attempts if you'd like.
Well, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay, so let's do like this.
So yeah, I'll roll, and you get successes as a dice pool bonus. Shit, damn.
Yeah, that's pretty mad.
Off of
Yeah.
9 dice.
All right. So the Matrix environment here is pretty slick. It looks like a lounge, a luxury lounge where you can go and order fine whiskies and listen to lovely elevated music and look out onto the electronic horizon and so on and so forth. But it's quite crowded. There are lots and lots of Matrix icons in here. It's they've connected this this node with just about everything else on the airport. Virtually every comlink has a connection to this node in one way or another. It would appear that all the information is being channeled through this single node, and yeah, it's a crowded place. There are dozens, maybe scores of electronic icons in here. Every table is full.
A quick alternative is we could try to find a connected device and directly jack in for a like physical backdoor.
We'd have to be pretty close for that though. But yeah.
Well, it's just any device slave to the network that you can physically access. So like one of these guys' comms would do it if they're all feeding into it.
Right, but we'd have to actually get their comms, is what I mean.
Yeah. There's also the possibility. I mean, we don't really have a fantastic infiltrator that I would, or that I think would. Yeah, it's probably best we just.
I
do
thought like
hack.
Omen could do something like that.
Like what?
Well,
We'll just throw in a
we can
like spell disguise, sneak in and steal one of their comlinks.
Yeah.
we can
try-
also
try.
watch and see if they come and go from the area too. I mean, that's kind of part of the reason of having a long-term security on it, is if people are coming and going, or if they stay exclusively at the.
Yeah. I'd just like access as quickly as possible so that we know as quickly as possible whether or not there's going to be a plane incoming.
Yeah, well, I'll try to hack it. So I'll try to get some marks on the. Well, yeah. So we have to get into the host first. So I have to make that roll.
Rolls like 10 successes and still fails.
I
Getting
only
in on
rolled
that.
one
The opposite.
success.
Today.
Yeah. So this is something we'll have to try over a bit of time, though. But they'll probably be aware that there's been attempts on their node, their host.
And if-
So.
And if they become aware, and then they're probably going to be able to guess that it could be you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you guys have become the usual suspects at this point.
Yep. You know, I'll edge that. I think that's probably
Sure.
appropriate. Okay, so that'd be 6 successes then.
All right, they got 5 successes on their defense, so it's still not much of a success, but at least you've marked it.
Well, yeah. Well, it gets me in, right? So
Yeah.
that's the important part. Then I can kind of look around and see if there's anything in there that I want to target. So I could take a little bit of time now. What? So your main interest, Godfather, is to find out if they are bringing planes in. Is that it?
Yeah, their communications, whether or not they know when a plane is supposed to show up, because Red's comm like left references that they're going to be sending in something to do shipments.
I didn't take that to mean the airport, but we can check. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason not.
Yeah.
Is there? I guess so. The flight traffic control tower that would have some system to, or I guess this would be a search to look for a file.
Basically, my
Um,
reasoning is this is a lot of effort to take over an airport to not use it.
Oh, it also denies the government airport too, though.
Well, if they want to do that, they could just wreck it, but instead they're holding it.
So I need to do a. What am I looking for? I guess this is just a matrix search to look for this file.
Yeah, it's a legal action, so it's computer.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like fuck up all these systems and shit, but they're all intact. So I'm thinking they have something in mind for this airport, and I'd like to
Yeah.
find out what.
7 hits to look for a file for pertaining to flight schedule.
There hasn't been a flight scheduled in considerable amount of time.
Okay.
So if they are bringing in flights, they're not on the books.
What are the
Yeah.
recent files?
There probably really aren't any. They haven't been using, the modus operandi. They haven't been running this thing legally, and there's just isn't any recent records of pretty much anything. It doesn't tell you who works here, or at least everything that all the information that is here is all outdated and predates the Khmer Rouge's insurgency. They're taking over
Mhm.
of the location.
They haven't been updating files.
They have not been updating files.
I
Like,
think-
why the fuck?
So they haven't been using this for any communications or anything like that.
They're
Oh,
using it.
Yeah,
They're using it as a
communications are
host.
different.
They're
Yeah,
using it as a host to link their stuff together rather than
precisely.
any real function of it.
And they're still surveying the area.
Things we could just
What's
ask
going
people
on,
who
that's
live
the
around the airport, like if they've seen any planes land, as long as like planes is like silent and secret.
We already asked that, and they said no.
Who
So
did you
I'm
ask?
seeing if
You asked the
No,
Hunter
right.
Triads,
we
right?
we asked the triads only, so
Yeah.
but they hadn't been paying attention to it really.
They don't give a fuck. They live in Siem Reap, not out at the airport, which is 10, 15 kilometers away.
Because we spent some time like just
I
asking
thought it
around
was-
like the people who live near the airfield. Like if there's been planes, someone's bound to have seen it.
Yeah, these fucking crazy guys landed on the middle of the highway. Like, then
Yeah.
a bunch of guys came up and shot them up. One of them blew up. It was crazy guys.
Definitely, they would have seen that, whereas the Triads didn't.
Yeah.
And if we use the black van, like we're definitely going to like get some answers. Or it might be a good idea
Okay.
just to like walk in, so then we don't draw attention.
So if the mainframe node's
I mean,
useless,
is there anyone
we
that
find-
lives that close to the airport?
Sort of. Like, if they live within, say, a kilometre or maybe even 2 kilometres, the Khmer Rouge would probably kick them out. But you can see a plane landing from further away than that, even a small plane.
can we
Yeah.
see Commissar Blanc's comlink on this node?
That's probably a different search altogether.
Mhm.
And I'm not
I'll
sure
look
how
for it.
you'd be able to pick it out in any case.
Like
The
I don't think
Probably
high-rated
just
one.
look
I
look
don't
for a
think they'd
better
na-
comlink.
I don't think
But
they'd
yeah,
name
it would be
it
it would be hard. It would be really hard to
Probably
find
just find a
comlink
quality
with
one.
that. Yeah, but that's pretty. We have to check
Well,
literally
that's what,
every
like,
comlink.
yeah. That's what checks are for.
There's like Comrade Dave
Right.
who saved up his money for like 7 years to buy like a good comlink.
But we would
It's a
we
bunch
would
of
need to
child
literally
soldiers who've been handed like meta links and probably one good comlink. Like we just need to find the icon of the good comlink.
I mean they're
Yeah,
probably
something
not
visually
run. They're probably
identifiable. It's like
running
spotting the
hidden. We'd
good car in
probably
the parking lot.
yeah. It would be like picking up every single rock in a basket and trying to find the one that's a different one, the one in there that's a different material, right? But they look exactly the same.
Given enough
They
time,
don't
you
look
can almost
exactly the
certainly.
same, though. They have
Yeah.
different matrix icons, is what I'm saying.
If not, if they're hidden, then we have to, it's we have to pick random.
Given enough
Are they
time,
running
you can probably
everything through
achieve
hidden?
that. But given enough time, you can probably achieve that. But you would be presumably under surveillance yourself while you do it.
Pretty good chance of bringing God down on demigod on
Have
goods.
Yeah.
they detected any of us? I mean,
Not
we
yet,
haven't
probably.
really done anything yet. So like the difference between going inside a node and having a quick surveillance and just trying to discover this hidden one is that's not even the same thing.
that's what I'm saying, is that's not how the matrix works, is you don't have to individually dig through every file on a node to find the devices attached to it. Like you can see like icons. It's just a matrix perception check unless everything here is running silent, which
You can see icons within 100 meters of you. Otherwise, it's a lot harder to
But I
find.
assume like the important ones, i.e. like the commissar's one, is going to be hidden.
It's a logical.
yeah, almost certainly, but that makes it one hidden icon as opposed to having to pick it out from every hidden icon, which is
Look, all I said, and I stand by it, is that it's possible, but you're going to be under surveillance while you do it, and just the same as the way you're talking is right. Trying to find a particular, maybe more sophisticated icon among all the junk is all good and well, but guess what? You've got a sophisticated icon. You're going to stand out like dog's balls much more than they do.
yeah, but we are running silently and they're not looking for us.
Why do you think that they're not looking for you? That's a hell of an assumption.
Assuming it's a node, it's probably got ice that will well, at least one ice that's patrolling
If it-
actively.
you can't. I personally can't imagine an airport that wouldn't have ice running. Like that you're opening yourself up to terrorism.
Mhm.
And like you thought, and you underestimated them before, and all our stuff got hacked. Are you going to do it again?
I'm not. Okay.
Well, yeah, no airport is going to not have constant surveillance on its matrix space because, like I said, like you're just hoping that at that point you're just asking for terrorists to come in and fucking
They
do some
probably
sort of
won't
operation.
have a
Well, I'm saying
decker
you
on
don't have
staff.
to hack something on the matrix to see it. And all we're trying to do is see something.
And it's the same as that's all they're trying to do with you. Like by all means, it's definitely an option. It just seems
Yeah, nice
logical
doesn't
to
work
me
for
that
something
you're
that's
going to be
not
found
in its
before they
node.
find. Anyway, I'm trying to talk, but
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm just going to stop.
We can worry about that later.
It's a possibility. It's an option. But it's it depends on whether you wish to expose yourself or not, because that's what you're going to be doing. I'm certainly not. I'm definitely not trying to influence any decisions. Absolutely not. I'm just trying to apply what I consider to be logical.
I don't know. I just like this is the equivalent of saying you're making, or like physically speaking. The analogy in my head is like you're sneaking along. Can I make a perception check? Yeah, but they'll see you.
If
That's not what I'm
Blong
saying.
is
I'm saying is what
I'm saying this is the
they're going to be
equivalent
looking.
of that.
if
Well,
Blong is
yeah,
running silent, we have to be within 100 meters to find her icon. Period.
Okay, so let's try to sneak something in within 100 meters like a drone and make a matrix perception check. Like that's something we can try.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Do we want to try that? Sneak a drone in within 100 meters?
If you want to, I mean, it's your drone. It'd be risky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to risk it getting shot at and maybe having a grenade or two check, maybe a spirit sicked on it. I mean, I have Omen nearby in case something like that happens. Well, not nearby, but within response range.
Cool.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, are you cool with that, Omen?
Yeah.
Uh, sorry, I'm testy. By the way, I'm just smoked, I think. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get in the pickup truck with Omen and Mako and what's the area around the airport for roughly a kilometer? Is it like flatlands, forest? What's the terrain type?
abandoned rice farms. They would normally be dried out and parched, but because we're in the middle of the monsoon, they're turning increasingly swampy. It's great rice planting country, but there's no one working it because the Khmer Rouge won't let them.
Okay.
Bet that makes them very popular.
Are they trying to work it themselves?
Not really, because well, I won't say why they're not, but no, not really.
So that means they're getting their food from somewhere else, though.
Correct.
Bring me pizza.
They just order some Dominoes.
You'd have to be an elite to order Domino's.
Oh no, sorry, I was talking to my kids.
All right.
Daddy, will you cook for us? No, I'm killing communists. Order Domino's.
There
Again.
is one piece of pizza left. You fucking motherfuckers.
Kids.
Okay, so rice patty. About how close can we get with any kind of visual cover?
You can get to about the 2 kilometer mark before they start sending their bikes out to investigate.
Okay. Yeah, get about there, and let me check the noise table to figure out what I'll be working with here.
It's three for 2 kilometers.
Thank you. And let me see what other stuff we might be dealing with.
There's pretty heavy rain going on at the moment, so add another 2, one for the distance, one for the remoteness of the country, and one for the rain.
Okay. 3 for noise, 1 for environment, 1 for conditions, so 5 in total. Yeah, I can compensate that. I'm good.
Cool.
All right. So yeah, I'm going to deploy the drone. Try to, or would you mind putting it on your system, Mako, so you can
Sure.
hide it? All
I
right.
will do that and run hidden. Boost my sleeves.
Yep,
How
set
much noise
everything to
can
run.
you? How much noise can you compensate for? Or how much more can you compensate for?
It depends on what I'm doing it for. My RCC gives me a bunch of noise compensation for like vehicles and drones. And I have cyber ears with antenna for personal noise comp.
Because I've got the ability to jack my sleeves up pretty high to help hide it, but at the cost of
How much noise?
1 to 5.
I can take 3 more points of noise currently
Okay, I'll
before
just
I
max
start
out my
taking
sleeves then.
penalties.
So I'll be running my smoke and mirrors at 2 points. And we can adjust that if we.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I'm set. I've got your drone under my network and good.
Do you want me to summon the spirit before you send it in, so it's on
Yeah,
standby?
yeah.
Probably. Well,
Alright.
just in case they see it from the airport, maybe not. Just in case Blong's like meditating or some shit and looks over and sees someone called up a spirit. I don't know. I'm paranoid
Right.
about that kind of stuff. I
No,
don't like loose ends.
Summon it beforehand. Just have it on standby. Doesn't you don't have to have it with you. It could just be.
In the plane, yeah. Alrighty.
Well,
And you can
when
you can do
summon it
that
up,
at
it's
the
not
hotel.
astral, isn't it?
No,
Oh, yeah.
it when you
Okay, yeah,
don't
before we leave,
actively
yeah.
have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be
Okay.
in magic space, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, do
It's
it
raining,
beforehand.
isn't it?
It
So
is.
I'll stick with a theme, I guess, and I'll go water. It'll be fine. I don't really want to summon a fire elemental in a rain.
Shadowrun. It's always raining.
It's a 13 dice total. I just want it to basically distract and make sure we can get away, I guess. I don't want to fucking take out mad force. 13 T6. Go for 4, which will make it a 5. So it's a total force 5 spirit.
Thank you, Doug.
Roll. Only 3 successes.
and it gets 3 on its defense, so it doesn't answer, but you still suffer the the feedback.
Yeah, so it goes 3, so I took 6 stun, I think that is.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Where's my drain? Magic drain. One piece of stun. I'm guessing we're doing this at the hotel, so do you want me to try, just keep trying until I get one? You just eventually
Yeah,
until I
yeah.
either get one or don't take too much drain. Let me just mark down that drain. Okay, let's try again.
Doesn't usually happen to me, I swear.
Yeah, it's roll. And I'll do the same thing again.
Seducer can't get it up with a spirit.
Hmm.
Yeah, same roll. Fuck it. Jesus Christ.
They get 2 successes on the defense, you fail again.
I'm gonna
For
fucking
your
edge it.
pride's sake, you might want to. Yeah, I was gonna say for your
I'm just
pride, you
edging
might want
it.
to edge it.
Take the drain first.
Uh,
Sorry, no. If you're re-rolling it because of the edge, then no, you don't.
I'll
my
just re-roll the hits I missed. So I only got 2, so roll 11 more dice.
Yep, yep.
Oh, that's actually not 2 successes. I accidentally hit a 6 instead of a 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hit successes on that one. Because when I rolled it, I did the more than 6
Mm.
instead of the
Yeah,
5, so that's actually 6
yeah,
successes.
you got 6 successes. Yeah, you're good.
My food just turned up. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. It's just out on the table.
Cool.
Okay, guess
Cool.
I'll be right back as well. I'm going to talk about Domino's. I'm going to call them up to see if they'll actually deliver to my place because I live about 40 minutes from any Domino's. I'll be right back.
All right. So what was the resisted 3, didn't it? Or 2?
Yeah, 2. So you got like 4 services out of it.
Yeah. And I completely don't take any drain. So I only took 1 drain. How many services? 4?
Yep.
If I get 6 minus 2, yeah. And it's a force 5. God, that was rough. And at least I didn't use my fucking edge for that. Let me write that
Well,
down.
you used 1 edge for that.
Sorry?
Well, you used 1 edge on that. Or never mind, you didn't
No,
because you were good.
No. Force 5. Order. Spirit. For services. And I will pull up my summoning for dummies. What is it? Force 5. So it gets 1 optional power. Would guard be helpful? I'm pretty sure guard takes away like failures.
Could be.
I mean, really, the only thing we need this for is like we're gonna keep it in the hotel, and if like our maid or our drone gets spotted and like they send a spirit after it, we can call up our own to tangle with it while we get the drone back and run off.
Environmental accidents or hazards. Right. Okay. So yeah, no, that's fine. I'll give it some combat optional powers then. What's it got? Elemental attack, energy aura, or weather control. I mean, I could weather control the rain to just stop. So you don't have a noise.
That might be a little suspicious.
Oh, and rain stop. I'll give it elemental attack, then you can use that. Cool.
So, you got a plan?
yeah, we've got the spirit. It's gonna stay chill out while we leave and go to there. And when it's needed, it'll pop up. And then they'll do their thing, and I'll sit on standby.
Cool, cool.
All right, so with our spirit called out beforehand at the hotel, we're gonna get into the truck and move out to as discreetly as we can to the 2 kilometer zone. Kind of
Yeah.
pull up, act like we're having engine trouble or some shit.
Yeah, they got little sari stores and stuff out here. There's people who farm rice, of course. People who have buffalo, mostly rice farmers. But this is a commercial area in the sense that you can buy little single serves of hair conditioner and soap and shit like that. You know, if you've got 30 cents, then you can. Yeah, it's what the equivalent of our corner stores over there are more like a box with 50 different single servings of sugar and rice and tea and so on. Yeah. So just to give you an idea that people live here, it's a neighborhood, and
Okay, that's good.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
yeah. So we'll park the truck somewhere. It won't sort of stand out from the airport. We'll set up our makeshift equipment, get everything running silent.
The guy comes up to you. He wants to rent your pickup truck.
It's not for hire.
Sorry, sir. He goes away.
Yeah, we'll pop the drone out, camo cloak it, and yeah. So plan here is I get this thing up near the compound, and we try to get a bead on the commissar's comm. Once we mark it, are you going to be comfortable making a hacking attempt on it?
Sure.
All right.
What
Yeah,
is
so
what are we trying to find out? What are we trying to get out of hacking it? So I have an idea of what our goal.
yeah, what their plan for the airport is. So basically, just data files off the comm link.
Okay.
Whatever she's been using it to talk about whoever her bosses are with. Or all right. Anything else we need to nail down? Okay.
No.
See how because I think it's on your stuff. I can't. Or never mind. Yeah, I'll send the drone in. Piloting it in AR at the moment.
Cool. First thing would be using the stealth on the drone, that sort of thing. Infiltration is going to be your first step. So that's as far as I can tell, at least, is the first thing you're going to want to do is get it in there without it being seen. Does that sound logical to everyone?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'll make a stealth roll for it. Between a quality and its chameleon coding, anything trying to visually see it has a -5, I believe, total.
I think it's pretty unlikely. Yet they do have a lot of guys with binoculars, old school binoculars, and so it's possible that they might be able to pick it out from the pigeons, starlings. Wouldn't be easy.
I'm gonna edge that.
I'm back as well now. Domino's does not deliver to my house; it's too far away. It's a modern day tragedy.
I reckon, man.
Not really. Domino's is pretty shit.
Thought I lived in the first damn world.
Yeah, like New
Or
Zealand's
Meg.
second
Domino's
world
pizza
at best.
ship, Domino's pizza ship, their bread bowl pastas are dope.
I guess I was gonna have
Or
to eat some
Megan.
of that $2 like noodles.
You know how it feels to live in Asia. All right. Yeah, so you managed to infiltrate the place. You come within 100 meters, 300 feet of the control tower. I think that was the objective. From here, you've got a pretty good visual on the area, so you can utilize that if you want. Without going into much detail, there's at least 100 units here, a score of motorbikes, a handful of jeeps, and so on. Yeah, if you're interested in more detail, then you can look for it. But it's a the army looks to be every bit as strong as it was that when you landed, and probably, to be honest, it's more than likely been reinforced at once.
All right. Yeah, I can do physical recon, like note everything in the area, while Mako can use this device to make an up-close matrix perception.
Sure. So let's see here.
Yeah, I'm gonna send the drone around, basically, like trying not to get within like 25 meters of anybody or anything that I think might, pick me up. But other than that, just getting a full 360 view of how everything's set up in this place.
Cool. One of the first things that you notice, Mako, is that there is matrix security here. I don't think it surprises you, but to confirm that there is, and it's relatively heavy. Again, the sort of defenses that you would expect an airport to have would be pretty strong. It's a little bit compromised. It's a bit buggy, and those bugs seem to make it less efficient. Like imagine it looks like a Japanese security guard. He wears an old blue uniform, like a New York cop might have done in the 50s or the 60s. And this little Japanese icon with his smiley face and his slanted eyes is walking around. But every now and then he jumps. There's a bit of static. His icon flickers and then appears somewhere else. It's clear that it's high-tech stuff that isn't functioning at optimal capacity. They haven't run any diagnostics or any matrix repairs here for some time, and thus the bugs are just getting worse by the week. Nonetheless, there is a lot of them, and you don't think it's going to take long before they detect your presence. However, that wasn't what you were looking for.
No.
What was your objective?
I'm trying to find hidden devices and try to find comlinks specifically that maybe belongs in.
Sure. You find that there are with your five successes, you managed to find 5 hidden comlinks. There might be more. This was really only just at a glance. You've barely arrived when you discover that the security is pretty tough. You give a quick glance around, and even with only a cursory glance, you spot that there are several devices running into silent mode.
Okay.
You can focus on one, or you can keep searching for others, or you can get out of there.
Well,
So
I'll wait and see if I get anything from Godfather that could help narrow it down through his physical sort of perception of it.
So the matrix security at this airport sets off an alarm if anything with like a Wi-Fi signal gets within range.
Not necessarily. It's just constantly on patrol. The watch your ice are just doing their thing 24/7. That's what watch your ice, sometimes do. It's the equivalent of having a mall cop that walks around the mall. He doesn't necessarily sit in his office until it's a problem. He's out on the beat walking around. That's kind of the same right here.
I'm saying, what would it recognize as a problem?
not necessarily anything, which is why no alarms have been set off. I'm just saying that they are here.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm just trying to. Like you keep saying, it's a matter of time before you're seeing, like.
I mean, that's
I think it's trying to just
true.
make it a bit urgent.
Mall cop analogy again. You've got a small
Yeah.
suburban fucking supermarket that has 10 guys coming around with torches and shit. You sooner or later, it seems logical, if not inevitable, that they're going to stumble across a guy who's breaking into the fucking Coke vending machine. You might get lucky, and they might choose to go a completely different path, a different avenue, a different shop every single time. But they have the numbers, and the location is only quite small. And if they spot something irregular, it's sensible that they would consider that to be irregular. Yeah, I'm not saying that like, I'm not saying it's inevitable, but it certainly kind of seems that way. But that's just the way the Matrix works, in some fashion. If you sit there long enough, someone's gonna fucking find you.
But it wouldn't, unless we're performing illegal actions, though. ICE leaves you alone, doesn't it?
Maybe it's an illegal action just being here? Who knows?
Even if the ice doesn't find us, we'll trigger a convergence in a matter of probably half an hour or something, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, once we start performing illegal actions, yeah. But at the moment, we're just something with a Wi-Fi signal near a node.
Okay, so yeah, but why is there a Wi-Fi signal here? Like who? What is it doing here? It's not doing anything illegal, but again, using the mall cop analogy, you've got some guy just hanging around the mall, not buying anything, just watching. Okay, that's legitimate. Like maybe he's not a troublemaker, maybe he's just a customer, but I'm going to keep an eye on him because he's got a skateboard and his hat's backwards.
He's just
So,
standing there
he's not
menacingly.
doing anything illegal. Yeah,
right now, for them to find us, it's still an opposed action, but given enough time, they
There's
probably
a
will
difference
see us.
between being in the node and just being near the node, though, isn't there? Like this would be the equivalent of the mall cop telling someone there's someone across the street or something.
If their devices are part of a node or a host, I guess, then not really. We'd have to be in there to access it.
And also, like, how many of these peasants outside the airfield have like nodes of their own?
They've all got MetaLinks, which is like $100 comlink, and so they all have nodes basically. Like even in if you think about the modern era, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but in a place like India, there are more mobile phones than there are toilets. There are more mobile phones than people have access to toilets. In the future of Shadowrun, if you don't have a MetaLink, then you're going to do everything in your power to get one, because most people would rather have a MetaLink than fucking have fresh water.
There's a couple distinctions that are probably confusing people. Is that you've got the places you can be on the Matrix are on like the public grid, the local grid, which is like the city grid, right? There's global grids, and then there's hosts. So depending where you're at kind of changes the landscape a little bit. They're probably on like an airport host, would be my guess. But
yeah, but
which
even
is
if
means
something's on a host, its icon is still visible. It's just protected by the host. Isn't that how it works?
Sure, but we can't really do anything with it unless we enter the host.
Like once. Yeah, I'm saying like once we start hacking it, well, you can do things across grids. You just get a penalty, don't you? It's
yeah,
not
but
ideal.
a host isn't a grid. You have to enter the host to do something in that.
Okay, yeah.
You can do things cross grid though.
Yeah, I'm fine with the idea that like once we start like trying to do stuff to this comm link, that like we risk the chance of exposure. I'm just like I'm trying to figure out if they're like by exactly what means we're gonna set off an alert just by being here.
And that's not something that we can know until we've already triggered it. what you can be certain of is that there is security, that there are watcher ice. You know, of that you can be absolutely certain. And the watcher ice are pretty prolific. Once again, you're not going to leave an airport undefended because planes are going to get crashed.
Oh yeah, Natch. Okay, so I think we can identify our target from outside the host, and then we have to enter the host and like compete with the ice and everything to actually do anything to it. Yeah, that's fine and reasonable.
Cool. No one knows that you're here yet,
Sorry
but you're
for
able
the
to watch it.
fucking nitpicking. It's just important for me that I understand in my head how this works.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, it is tricky. Mako, what are your thoughts on trying to dip into the host for this comlink?
I mean, like I said, we can do
Completely
it. It's
well maintained. Yeah.
I can probably dominate this host. Like I think I can own it if I go. Do you think you can do anything in there to find out what you to get into her comlink if I'm keeping everything?
I've got decent hacking capability. Yeah, if you can tie up the nose defenses, yeah, I can probably
Well,
take over the comlink.
I'll focus on the comlink, but if we're noticed, I'll just go full aggro on the host and keep it from being able to.
Yeah, I can do that.
So I can probably crash their ice before they can bring new ones up because they can only launch one per round or one per initiative combat turn. And I could probably kill that and keep it out. Yeah. Keep it from doing too much, but yeah, I don't know. If we want to do this, I mean, anything we do is going to raise their alert level just in general. So if we start this, we should be ready. And I don't for the possibility of them, responding or.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2 kilometers out. The only current
Well, they're not gonna locate us.
Yeah.
They'll spot your drone, but
yeah, and it can get out of there. And I mean, absolute worst case scenario, it's replaceable.
Okay.
Cool. So you've got the equivalent of looking through the window into the supermarket mall, but you're not inside yet. So you've got some gauge of how many people are occupying it. 100 more, 200. A relatively heavy matrix defense presence. Nothing that Mako doesn't think she can't handle, though. She's one of the best in the world. All systems are go.
So yeah, we'll try to be sneaky first, and things go to shit. We allow.
So I guess before we go full on, I want to find a couple things out about this host. I want to find out what its firewall rating is. That's just a basic matrix perception test to do that. So.
5. It would be 6, but the bugs have created holes in the firewall. But yeah, it used to be top notch. It's losing some of its integrity.
5's still pretty solid. It's nothing to sniff at. So.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I guess then I'll try to hack on the fly and break in to the host.
I will assist.
All right. They get 1, 2, 3, 4. They only get 4 successes, so you're pretty effective at getting through the initial firewall.
All right. So now we're in. We've got a location on some comm links. So let's start. I mean, one's as good as another. So I'll try to get a mark on that with hack on.
All right.
Is it possible to look at like the admin logs to see who, if any of these comlinks have like higher admin rights to the node?
Maybe.
Because that might be one way to identify the Wang.
Once you get enough marks on something, isn't there some way you can see all the devices attached to it?
We already can, but that doesn't mean we're going to necessarily know what it is, right? When something's hidden, I have to. It's a little complicated, but like I have to look at each silent mode device individually and find out what it is. There's no way to blanket find out what everything is that I'm aware.
We have a
I
mark
could
on
be
the node now,
mistaken.
so don't we now have a mark on everything on the node?
No, and we don't have a mark on the node. We just entered the node.
Right. But once we got one, wouldn't we then have a mark on everything
Nope.
on the node?
No, you just have the master. Yeah, you have to
I
get
thought that
marks
was
on
a
things
disadvantage
individually.
to masters.
No, once you get a mark on one of the slaves, you get a mark on the master, not the other way around.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm just going to pick one of the comm links at random and try to get a mark.
Its defenses are quite pissed, and so you should be able to break through it without a challenge. Yeah, and you do.
Okay, so that's going to give me the ability to kind of find out more information about it, right? Like, what can I tell what type of comm link this is?
This is a metal link. You've just got one of the loser comlinks.
Okay, I'll start moving on to the next guy then. Just kind of keep that up.
Sure.
Another assist.
Challenged. And just for a bit of information, although it's probably relatively unimportant, the sort of information that are on these metal links is quite limited. They have their instructions, they have their propaganda, they have a couple of old videos about the sort of things that the Chinese produced in the 2030s before their communist state fell apart, about the beauty of communism and so on and so forth. Action flicks where the communists triumph over the evil capitalists and liberate the peasants from their oppression, those sort of things. But you do also find some instructions, direction, orders. Orders is probably the best word. There's a clear pyramid-style hierarchy in here. Most hierarchies, I suppose, are pyramid-shaped, but there is a clear one here. In much the way terrorist cells operate, where you don't have much contact with anyone except your immediate superior and inferior, so is it with these comlinks. They get information from their direct superior, we'll call it their sergeant, and that's about as much information as they get. Occasionally, Supreme Leader sends some not instruction, but some feel-good propaganda. Yeah. You are important. Your culture is the best culture in the world. Your people built Angkor Wat, the largest temple that ever was, and so on and so forth. But apart from that direct communication, everything comes down an immediate pyramid-style chain of command.
So Supreme Leader sent you like an email card on your birthday?
Precisely. And apart from that, it just has very simple orders, and the orders are monotonously simple. Patrol the border, keep your gun clean, jump on your motorbike and travel out 1 kilometer to check out what this pickup truck is doing, that sort of stuff.
Well, you know what that tells me, though, is I've got a clear line to start jumping up the chain of command, so I can use his information to hit.
Shoot yourself.
Well, no, I can just target the next comlink up the chain and hit the sergeant and then so on and get, you know.
Yeah.
So now,
But rather
now
than
that I
going
found,
through 100 different comlinks, you can
Right.
you can go straight to the off of the comlink. Yeah, that's
so that's what I'm going to be doing.
naturally the defenses on this one are a little bit better, but it's only
Sure.
2 steps up from a metal link, so it's still a pretty shitty firewall.
7 hits.
Even before the Godfather can give you some assistance, you've already infiltrated. And now the orders become a little bit more complicated. It doesn't. How would you? It at this level of information, they're not really giving any orders. They're still taking them, but they're getting a bit of intel. For example, the rice has arrived. The petrol has arrived. The ammunition is depleted, that sort of stuff. It doesn't tell you where it's coming from, who delivered it. It just tells you that it's here. You can now distribute it to your soldiers. And of course, the chain of command gives you the access to the next level. You're now up from the sergeant to what comes after sergeant? I don't even know.
Lieutenant, maybe, or the equivalent.
Somewhere
It-
between less than a lieutenant.
It depends on your.
Sergeant? I don't know.
Master at Arms.
Sure.
We're going from squad to platoon, basically,
Sure.
give or take. I mean, yeah, it's
Exactly, give or take. It's a slightly different army structure.
Exactly, yeah.
One would almost say it's unconventional.
I'll use the term staff
non-traditional.
Yeah, any of these, take your pick. It's a Russian designation anyway, not an American one. Yeah. Superior sergeant. Take your pick.
Class 3 communist.
There we go.
Yeah, as long as you've got an understanding of the chain of command, I don't really care what it's called.
No.
So you know.
No.
So let's hit this next guy, I guess.
Naturally, his comlink is better still.
Well, that's unfortunate. Is Godfather assisting? Let me roll those. I think
May
I'm going
wanna
to be
spend some
edging
time.
this. Yep. Okay, so that's 3 hits. So I've got one more spending my second edge of the session. So that will be 6 hits total.
Barely, just barely. But you do notice that the security begins searching for something. They're not in urgent mode. They haven't set off the alarms or anything, but they spot an irregularity. Probably just a bug, maybe a power surge. It could be fucking anything. It might be devil rats eating the cables. Whatever it is, the watcher I see start looking for something, and they're pretty systematic in their approach. It's only a small area. There's lots of them. The clock has begun ticking.
All right.
But you're in. Now there are some good things about it, but more than that, there's mostly just bad because at this point you can pick up a lot of intel. You might want to download it rather than reading it, but that's up to you.
No, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll give you the specifics of that during the week. But but the short answer is it tells you that they are being resupplied externally. You probably already guessed that, but they are. Their rice is coming in externally, their arms, and their soldiers are coming in externally. At a quick glance, it looks like they have doubled their capacity of soldiers. There's like 200 soldiers now instead of the 100 when we arrived here just a week and a half ago. They've already been reinforced. And the immediate impression that you get is that they have an unlimited amount of manpower. They have limited ammunition, they have limited food, but they do not have any shortage of soldiers. They can take it. They can put another 1,000 here if they wanted to, but they have other objectives, particularly in the city. Excuse me, the city of Bottom, which is where the main war is currently being fought. The bad news is that while there is quite clearly another step up in this chain of command, it's not switched on. There is an address, an IP or something, a matrix address that you could potentially track down, but
Okay.
it's the icon just doesn't exist in the matrix right now because it's most likely been switched off.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start working on download. I'll inform Godfather that I'm at about as deep as I can go. I'm getting a lot of information though. Be ready to jack out once I've got it.
Good. You've got the com code of the com we're after, though.
Too easy. Yeah, no worries. The Watchers are actively searching, and they are coming close to you, really close. It's uncomfortably. They're far more effective and efficient than you expected. Maybe it's just sheer luck, but they're looking for something.
Well,
All right.
I've got a lot of
Finish.
confidence in my ability to stay hidden.
All
I don't have
right.
a lot of confidence in Godfather to stay hidden though.
You better make
so-
that hidden check right now because they're already searching.
What is a matrix stealth roll?
Sleaze plus logic.
All right. Now, do I use yours since we're using yours for security, or do I use mine?
You are a persona. You cannot be sleaze, if I remember right.
So you said sleaze plus logic.
hmm I got 7
Okay.
hits.
Fuck, where's my? There it is. No, where did I? There it is. Christ. I'm gonna spend a point of edge on that. Three successes.
They also get 7 hits. So they are just about to find Mako when there's a distraction or rather some new intelligence and they find Godfather instead. They were just about to discover Mako
Mhm.
when the obvious blip, blip, blip distracts them and they go directly in that direction instead. So they're on to you. I guess it's at this point we roll for Matrix Initiative.
I think we
Yes,
just
sir.
agreed to check out, didn't we?
Yeah.
That'd probably be smart for you. Yeah, but it's still an action. You have to beat them
Yeah,
to
that's
get
right.
out before they.
Precisely.
Maybe I'm missing it, but what can they do to you in the Matrix? You're just
A lot. They can kill
yeah.
you depending.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
risk right now,
They are.
They can send
It-
feedback back to your brain that basically fries it.
Yeah.
it probably won't do anything. It probably won't matter, but they can lock your connection open with a certain thing. They can send feedback to you. That'll hurt you. They can
Find out where
do a
you
lot
are.
of things. Yeah, they can find out where you are. They can do. Most likely in this situation, though, is that they will simply just be able to do damage to his cyber deck.
or just destroy his like expensive machine.
Yeah.
Not
Like
necessarily
damage.
destroy it, but yeah, damage it.
Should I roll as well initiative or
No, it's all Matrix at this stage.
Matrix?
Like
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But you can if you want, but presuming that we're defensive and that we're not trying to start shit, then I would expect that we're going to be evacuating rather than assaulting. That's just my assumption.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
a
should be
fair
fine then.
assumption.
So
We got
Mako's
everything we
first.
came here for.
Yeah. Mako's
So
first, but they beat Godfather.
have I got the data that I'm after?
That's right. You have. You downloaded it before they became on Earth.
And I'm aware that Godfather is just AR, right?
I'd say so. I
Okay.
think this would,
Then,
basic parameters like that. Surely we would tell each other.
then I'm not too worried about him having any. I'm not too worried about me having to stick around for him, so I'm just going to check.
Yeah, first the response is not aggressive. It's not even really defensive. It's informative. They contact Supreme Leader. It's now Godfather's guy.
So, Mako, my
Mhm.
persona's currently in the host because I was assisting you. So, all I need to do to escape this thing is just exit the host, right?
I mean, all you have to do is just turn off your device.
Yeah.
Like your
Okay,
your
yeah.
AR, your just flick the switch
Yeah, I
off.
switch off
You're
my
fine.
cyber deck.
Yeah.
Yep. Done. Combat is over.
Normally, if you were
The
VR,
free
you take
action
dump
I
shock from that,
or-
but yeah, there's
yeah,
really
I
no
was AR.
consequence.
Yeah, and as a free action, I send an order to my
Mhm.
drone to return to me.
Brilliant, brilliant. The
and
drone
switch
escapes.
off.
It hasn't been discovered. The drone hasn't been discovered. But yeah, it all went relatively smoothly,
Mhm.
except for the fact that we become aware that yeah, one of the last thing that it did before we jacked out was get in contact with the absolute highest levels of Matrix authority.
Yep.
Except for God.
Did we catch the comm code?
I get it.
No, we wouldn't have.
Yeah, I went about as well as I could.
Sure.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've got some
We got
information. We got intel.
exactly like what. Yeah, that's right. That's the way I see it. Like our objective was to find, logistics and supply numbers, and we got that data. So yeah, it's a success.
What we can also do is just set up a comm link to just keep auto dialing Commissar Blanc's comm link and notify us when it gets through.
I'm just gonna have my agent keep an eye out.
Yeah, just
Excellent.
have something keeping an eye out for when our device comes
Mhm.
online, because now we know it's code.
Yeah, cool. All right. So it wouldn't even take very long. It would be about but before you've even made it back to the hotel or the compound or wherever you're going, your agent informs you that that the comm link is switched on.
Okay.
I'd say the node's
We wanna
probably
take a
alerted
crack
her
at
if
it?
she would have turned it on.
Yeah, probably. That seems very, very likely.
It only stays on for a very short period of time, less than 1 minute, about 25 seconds, switched off.
Okay. We'll probably have to be. I mean, that'll be a whole nother bag of worms trying to get into her comm or anything.
Mm.
Maybe even
Yeah,
impossible,
we're
really.
gonna
If
need to
she's
get it. We're gonna need to get
I mean,
it.
it's probably a good comm. She probably leaves
Easier
off
to
when
probably
she's not
just
using it.
taking it off her corpse.
She obviously doesn't rely on it, so obviously we're probably gonna need to
no, she's
take
she's
it
a
when we
mage.
take
Yeah.
that field. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Of course, now they're probably gonna know this is our next target. So
Or we could just
Not
hit a different
necessarily.
target now that they're focusing everything on the airport.
That's kind of why I said we should probably be looking at everything. So they kind of, I mean, they know what we're going to be doing in broad strokes, but maybe not specifics. So we can
Yeah.
worry about that later. One thing
I
I'd
don't
be
mind that,
curious
'cause we can
about.
look at that, and we can look at that and see how they react to that.
That's what I was just going to say. We've got Ricochet and Fenway watching the airport, so they can see how they respond to a matrix intrusion, what sort of physical response they have. That is.
Yeah, it's doable. And if we trigger, or if we do something that'll trigger a response, there's a decent chance we can get Blanc to turn on her phone.
Yep. And if I'm in a position, I can lock it. Well, now she can just turn it off because she's not going to be VR. But yeah, it's like I mean I can do some stuff before she has a chance to get it turned off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. In Matrix time, you can do a lot in the 6
Yep.
seconds before someone realizes there's something up with their phone.
Well, yeah, she had it on for 25 seconds there. That's like 4 rounds.
mhm.
Yeah. If she had it on for a minute, that's 20 rounds.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this seems to be pretty good then. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't a complete success, but we got our objectives done. We discovered if not their chain of command, then at least the way they structure their instructions. It's
Mhm.
it's similar to the way terror cells operate theirs. And if we want, we can now spend 2 or 3 days waiting to see if there's a response, or even 2 or 3 hours. Maybe they respond much faster than that.
Well, I'm expecting there'll be some kind of immediate response. Maybe some guys go out and start doing like a physical search of the surroundings.
You're completely correct.
See if maybe some reinforcements start turning up, more reinforcements. Or...
They do. Now, I thought that we would go, but I was made an assumption that we basically abandon our post right now. We go back to the compound. Is that what we do, or are we sticking around the Sari store?
So we had basically 2 different groups in 2 different locations. We've got Fenway and Ricochet in a little sniper post, kind of just watching from afar.
Like a farmhouse
wherever Ricochet had identified previously. I don't remember. But then Godfather, Omen, and Mako were on a totally separate area and spot doing the Matrix thing. So even if they did come and look at us, they wouldn't necessarily find the other 2 who could, I presume, stay and watch while we go.
Yeah. So you guys in the pickup truck, who are people in our neighbourhood right now, whereas the snipers are in a relatively isolated farmhouse. No people for 300 meters, for example, no buffalo for 300 meters. You guys that are at the neighbourhood, do you maintain your post, or do you abandon it now? Do you go back to the compound?
That's up to Godfather. He's got the steering wheel.
That's a good point.
Probably move us away from the compound, like another click maybe, but other than that, kind of fill out, buy some soap.
Brilliant. Your drone picks up that they, as Ricochet suggests they might, they send out their motorbikes to go and do a bit of kicking the fucking door down and start interrogating people, putting guns in their faces, shit like that. It seems likely that they will eventually reach our abandoned farmhouse, although they might not be that thorough. Maybe it's a waste of their time and the waste of their petrol to come and do that. But certainly, Ricochet, certainly you are not their first target. Your farmhouse is not the first place that they go. They go to places where there are people. Have you seen anything? Tell me everything, or I shoot your children. That sort of shit. Yeah. So, do we maintain our vigil, or do we?
I'm happy to maintain vigil for now.
And I think if we leave, we might get spotted just leaving.
Point.
Fenway, do you have any kind of concealment magic?
None. Like, that's not my area of expertise. I have influence. That's about it.
What about your spirit friends?
I think they can only have spells that I can cast.
I believe there is a power called concealment.
Oh, okay. I'll quickly check.
I heard tales when I was studying magic in high school.
I've seen the trids.
There is a
I'm talking about that last comment.
Optional power concealment. Yeah, so what? Okay, would Force 4 be enough?
It should be.
Yeah, I'll summon a Force 4 like Spirit Beast. I'll give it the optional power concealment.
All right, and so what are you going to use it to conceal?
I suppose just us two. So if they like choose our building, like we can just conceal us two, so that it sort of looks like an empty building. Like, is that how it works?
I believe concealment is used to conceal other things. Yes, not just to conceal themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, concealing the entire building like is a bit conspicuous.
It's kind of like a spiritual, a different form of invisibility, basically.
Yeah.
Anyone who tries to find us has trouble seeing us, basically. Yeah.
A casual glance, they're probably not going to see you. If it's a systematic search, then they almost certainly will.
It'll be harder for them, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a 7 success.
All right. For a bit of information, so that you know, because you're observing it, particularly Ricochet, they do this. You've got like about 15 guys on motorbikes. They go out in 2s or 3s. They carry their AKs and their pistols, and they basically come to the door, such as it is. Most of these huts don't fucking have doors. Anyway,
Yeah,
they come to the door, kick down the curtain, and start threatening people in Khmer. They don't last very long. They don't bother firing bullets because they don't have bullets to spare when they could just punch someone in the head with the butt of their rifle. Then they move on. They don't spend more than about 2 or 3 minutes in any of the buildings. They just get in there, turn everything upside down, establish that there's nothing. They probably take their comlinks, right? Don't take my comlink, please take my toilet. Don't take my comlink. But they often confiscate the comlinks and then they just move on to the next building. Yeah. At no point do they even come out to your little outlying goatless farm. It's they probably point out in your direction, and whoever's in charge just shakes his head, says, "Fuck that, man! Like, let's just go back."
And
It's
nobody
hot.
lives
Yeah,
there?
all right. Nobody lives there. It's not like a sniper could possibly set themselves up there. That's just illogical. And they just you know, these are the next upgrade of Khmer soldiers. They're 17 years old, so they're far more
Yeah, I
experienced.
was going to ask you that.
I
Yeah.
mean, if they had a sniper there, he'd be shooting us already.
Precisely, right? That's what snipers do. I've seen the movies. Besides, Americanos are very stupid. They would never think of such an intelligent ploy. Yeah. In no time do they even come within 100 meters of your building. They are far too busy terrorizing peasants.
I suppose better safe than sorry anyway with the spirit.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing. Yeah, like what you did was sensible. It just wasn't necessary.
Are they actually are the different groups keeping track of each other?
No, not really. Hey, yeah.
Can you just imagine if they did bust in the door and just be like, yeah, okay, I'll knock them out. And...
Oh wait, he's got a gun. He must be one of us. Yeah, no, that's cool. We'll move on now.
If you have a language at native, does that mean like if someone can't see you, they might mistake you for like someone who lives in the country?
If your native language, yeah, absolutely. You can. This is a bit of a side note, but different areas have different dialects, right? And sometimes if you live in the north of a country, you can't understand what someone says
Oh
in the
no,
south of the
that's
country.
especially like with England. Like every city you go to
I'm
will
American, I
have a different
get that.
dialect.
Yeah, English and Americans would know that much better than Australians would, And so, yeah, if you can imagine that you're able to do a genuine Texan accent, the Texan is likely to understand you better than someone from New England. Yeah.
So I suppose
So
I've got like
your
one.
answer is yes.
I've got like one dialect of like Khmer that I know like natively.
Precisely. Yeah. So you're pretty good in Siem Reap, but once you head over to Botham Bung, it's going to be a little bit harder. You're not a native speaker anymore.
How much drain did I take from the spirit?
Oh right, yeah, of course. What's
Four.
Four stop? Again. Well, the drain would be double the spirit anyway, isn't it? So it's 8 drain. Is that right?
No, it's
Double
double
the
the total hits.
Double the hits. Okay, gets 3 hits, so 6.
And I resist 5 of it.
Cool. So a single point. You get a little bit of a headache, but nothing more than say bumping your head on an iron bar. Pretty successful, all in all. We might have alerted them to our presence to some degree, but surely they were expecting that, Like, they'd have to be fools not to think that sooner or later you're going to do exactly what you just did.
And like if you just hit a lot of their locations like rapid, like without actually attacking them, like they'll sort of maybe like get like complacent with it, like, or where they're actually going to attack.
Like Sun Tzu says, if you protect everywhere, you protect nowhere.
They've only got so. I mean, I know they've got unlimited men, but they've only got so many guns with bullets.
Yeah, that's accurate. They've got more fists than they do have guns.
I suppose we're just going
Right.
to keep up the position then anyway.
Keep up your position. So we're going to be here for a couple of days or just a couple of hours?
I'm happy to stay for a couple of days.
All right. So we'll say we move up to day 15, perhaps. That's 3 days.
I suppose I'll bring in like supplies, like sneak them in. We'll try to be as stealthy as.
They don't even bother being very sneaky, to be honest. Like, they use the roads.
No,
They use.
That's what I
Sorry?
meant to me. Like
Oh,
bring in
you,
like
yeah,
supplies
absolutely.
for like the recon like team, not just me and Ricochet.
Yeah. Deliver a pepperoni pizza, but put your drone on concealment before you arrive, or something like that. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I guess that's a good point though. What are you going to do for food and water for 3 days? How are you going to get your supplies in?
Oh, I would have brought rations. I
Yep.
got survival.
I've also got a survival kit.
Excellent. Survival kits will keep you alive for at least a week. You got water purification filters, and it's fucking raining out there. So water's not going to be an issue as long as you can catch it. And as long as you don't mind living off rice and nuts, you probably got more nutritious food than most of the peasants anyway. So you've got nothing to complain about, white boy.
Fenway, go get me some rice.
All right.
But the survival kit comes with some rations as well.
Perfect. Space food bars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 days later, you have ascertained that they did get resupplied, as you probably expected them to. Several vans have turned up. Some of those vans, jeeps, whatever they are, have brought men. Others have brought rice. A couple of them have brought ammunitions. I guess it's pretty standard stuff. Probably nothing that you didn't anticipate. What they don't bring in is any heavy equipment. They don't bring in tanks. They don't bring in rocket launchers. They don't bring in fucking anything except for munitions. The heaviest thing that they would bring in is ordnance, but that's all.
Maybe.
Do we ever see any activity? Because we identified last time at the hangar, I think, where the tank is.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Do we ever see any activity around the tank? Anyone working on it? Anyone maintaining it?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, make a perception check at this point, since that's a specific question.
Do they ever actually take it out for a spin?
Good question.
Can I,
Give me
since
2
I'm like with him,
seconds.
can I like assist him with perception?
Oh, you probably make your own independent roll, I'd say.
Okay.
I don't really see how someone can assist someone else's eyes.
Look at that.
Yeah, right. Look at what fucking. Where are you pointing? Fuck, this isn't helping. Yeah.
Is this a visual perception test?
I guess so, right?
What is searching speciality like? What would that cover?
Looking for
Yeah,
documents
like
and
flipping through a room or
Or like when you're physically
Yeah.
like moving stuff around, like stuff like that.
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
like
I
what an investigation role we
So
covered in
search would
D&D.
be like when a forensic team is examining a crime scene,
Because
Yeah.
I think because my
All good.
or a Shadowrunner is rifling through an office looking for files.
because I got a speciality in that because of my mental spirit, but it
Yeah.
doesn't count yet.
No. But if you want to find a secret trapdoor here in the building, then that's what you'd use. Yeah.
If you
Okay.
had like a specific thing, maybe you were trying to find,
Good
it
point.
might help with that. Like
Yep.
you're specifically saying, "I'm looking for
A bug.
this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I think they're quite good descriptions. Perception 4, Perception 3, they're both pretty useful. No, they don't move the tank, but they do go in and do some maintenance on it. They've gotten some more. Some of the ordnance is delivered to the tank, for example. A big green box of ammunition or something. Maybe they're fresh tracks. Who knows? But whatever it is, something gets delivered to the tank, dropped in there. They then shut the tank's door again, the hangar, because it's kept in a hangar, and it's not addressed again. They open up other hangars, and in spite of what Red's comlink says, there are planes here. There are aircraft. There are aircraft here. You don't get a good look at what they are, but some of them seem pretty large, like bigger than your Cessna, for example. Maybe
Fixed wing?
16.
Can we tell if they're fixed wing or
Yeah,
rotary?
16 seat fixed wing planes. You don't see any rotaries, you don't see any helicopters, but you do see very small jets, 16-seater jets. I don't know if that even counts as a jet. And much smaller things like crop dusters and other small planes. So this place has planes. It's got fucking aircraft, all right. But they sure, yeah, that's probably absolutely right. In any case, they don't bring them out. They don't send them out for test runs. They don't do anything with them. They just open up the hangar and check on them briefly. Sorry, what was the question?
Do they maintain them?
It seems that they do give some basic maintenance. Yeah, like that's exactly what it seems that they are doing. A guy goes in there with a toolbox. He doesn't come out for a couple of hours, and then he comes out.
A bit greasy.
Yeah, he comes out a bit greasy. Yeah, that's right.
Do they seem to have a mess hall? Like, do they tend to have an organized area where food's prepped and then they all go in and eat there, or does everyone kind of fend for themselves with regards?
Short answer is yes. Short answer is yes. It's a very small airport. I haven't been to Mackay's airport, but I can imagine that it's about the same size. It's only fucking small. The city that you live in is about the same size as this one, 150,000 people, give or take 20,000. And so their airport is roughly the same size, i.e. small. And they use the airport for just about everything. It's where they have their messes. It's where they have their barracks. There are fundamentally three different locations in the airport. There's the terminal, which is where most of the people are. There's the hangars, obviously where the planes are. There's the control tower. Now, you might say, well, there's also a car park and a driveway and a perimeter, blah blah blah, tarmac, blah blah blah. But in terms of infrastructure, the control tower, the hangars, and the terminal are the bulk of the buildings. There's you have already spotted a fire engine. There is a fire engine within the old fire department. Like all airports have a fire department. The fire engine is still there, but they don't seem to be using it.
Like with the things that were taken to the tank, like could we see what it was? Like, was it like ammo for the main battle tank?
Have you ever seen like a movie where they take in one of those big green crates that might have a rocket launcher in it,
Yeah,
or fucking anything like that? Yeah, they take in one of those.
Could be ammunition, could be electronics, could be.
Precisely, could be tracks. There's a lot of things it could be.
I would think ammo.
I think our initial intel has suggested that the tank had no ammo.
Yeah,
but it might have ammo now.
Might have ammo now.
I mean, our initial intel said there were no planes here.
That's true
Now
too.
there were planes.
Pretty sure Clockwork said he'd fixed up the tank, and ammo was the only issue. So.
Yeah, the tank should be operational, which is good for us because it's working off the RCC, which we currently have.
Lol. So that's how we begin our assault, by starting the tank's engine and driving the fucker through the door.
Just get the thing going and have it start rampaging as everything else goes to hell.
Radio Shack would be so proud of us.
We get the tank, some high-level spirit, and just get some snipers just to set up as well. Like, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah, we open up with like, try to take some shot on Blanc or something. Yeah, tank rolls up. We just start shooting like,
I suppose
disorganized chaos.
Over those like 3 days, do we see Blang at all?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Arctic?
Sorry, I got distracted by a news report that a guy was arrested yesterday for killing a dude because he didn't pay him $35.
Sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable. Oh, we bet 25 American dollars, 35 Australian. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't hear what you.
Shadowrun.
True.
Just wondering, in those couple of days that was surveilling the place, do we see Blang at all?
No, you know what her face looks like, and no, you don't see her. Is there anywhere specifically that you're looking though?
I would expect her possibly to come out and eat, maybe.
Or maybe like through a window, one of the traffic control, because like we heard her voice when you went to land.
You definitely see that there is a woman in the air traffic control tower, but reflections of the glass, the sheer distance involved, and the fact that I'm not going to say it that all Asians look the same makes it difficult to identify her.
That would be a good vantage point for her, though. Even not as air control, just general vantage point of the surrounding area.
Yeah, because she can
Direct-
mage
direct
snipe
spirit
from
control.
anywhere up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it that's all logical. And you see meals being delivered to the air control tower. So yeah, make of that what you will.
We could always engineer something that would get her like somewhere specific. Like we could get something flying overhead and get her on the air control horn again. That way we know she's in the tower, and then we can just shoot whoever's holding the radio or whatever. Or we can get her to turn on her comm and call it. Just shoot whoever's holding the comm link.
Do they seem to be operating any kind of radar?
Yeah, absolutely. Consistently operating radar.
But just get a plane and try to land it, and when she goes to say like go away, like shoot her and start the assault.
I don't think landing a plane there is a good idea.
I mean, just going to, and because like she warned us to leave,
Yeah.
she didn't. They didn't open up with firing
Yeah.
straight away.
Kamikaze.
Yeah, that's like put something in the air that'll get her talking on the radio and have someone snipe her in the control tower, since we know she'll be there responding. Does that sound like a good idea?
Do we ever see her leave the control tower?
We haven't seen it yet, no.
No.
But it's only been like 3 days.
Exactly right, yeah. And you guys haven't left your building in 3 days, and you're less professional than she is.
We have a lot of explosives, right?
That's just hurtful, Arctic. This is hurtful.
Hey man, she wears a uniform, you don't.
True.
Can we cut water and power to the control tower?
Theoretically.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're just bring her
Yeah.
water as well as food.
potentially.
Yeah, they might, but it might make her also uncomfortable enough that she has to leave or something.
Potentially available. It's likely that such facilities would go underneath the ground, though,
Yeah,
because you're not going to want to have cables laying around an airport.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
naturally.
I did suggest we kind of try to find the blueprints, the construction plans of this airport. That may give us some information, and that's probably something we can access through the interior.
Probably pretty
Yeah.
easy, as you pointed out. In real life, you did it relatively easily, so
And we've got the government on our side, so that
good point.
even if it is a regime that controls that information, we've got the regime that can give it to us. That'll give us information on the utilities and things like that that we may be able to use to our advantage if we want.
Yeah, let's ask Mr. Johnson if he can provide us with that info.
Yeah, it's a relatively simple from his perspective. The public library burned down, but they have all electronic records anyway. Yeah, that sort of information can be provided. I'm not going to draw up the fucking network of pipes
Sure.
and cables and stuff. So just consider yourselves to be familiar with it.
All right. Does it have its own independent water and power, or does it draw on the city?
Both. It has water purification here, and it has its own backup generators, but it does rely on the grid primarily.
All right. Has the grid been cut yet?
No.
Well, first off, Godfather's going to ask Mr. Johnson to cut the airport from the grid because there's no reason to give the Khmer city resources.
He blames the transport minister for not thinking of that, and it's done within 12 hours.
All right. So is there any subterranean infrastructure around the airport for like access to the water power?
Absolutely. For example, I imagine that most planes aren't electric. Like fucking planes probably still require liquid fuel. That's what I'd expect. In any case, even if not all the planes do, some do, and all of that infrastructure is subterranean. So the short answer is, yeah, there is like a maintenance facilities beneath the ground for liquid fuel, for water, for cables, effectively making it a sewer. And there is a conventional sewer as well because middle class people don't like shitting in a hole.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah.
What kind of access situation does it have? Are there any that aren't like in the airport?
There'd be no reason for it to be connected to the larger grid, except in the most. There's probably underground cables that travel 10 kilometers from the town to the facility, but there wouldn't be manholes linking them. There'd just be cables laid in plastic piping. Long and the short of it being, it's an independent system unto itself. If you can get on site, there are multiple manholes, but you'd have to get on site in the first place to get access.
Okay, but there are like sort of manholes littered throughout the grounds through which the subterranean can be accessed.
Precisely, and they have drainage and so on. It's not a very sophisticated drainage system. It doesn't, go 300 kilometers to the sea. It goes 3 kilometers to some poor bastard's farm, and then dumps its toxic waste just straight into his gutter.
Okay. That might be viable though, like going up
Yeah.
the drainage and getting access into this subterranean. And we can do that to cut water and power beforehand if we want to, or is just like sort of a way to prep before the assault.
Small,
Harassment.
if only we have an Andre. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a tunnel fighter, wasn't he? Something else we should think about is trying to get a tag, a bug on on some of the supply vehicles coming and going,
Easy.
to find out where they're coming from. And since we've got a rough idea of how they're coming, and given a few days, we can probably find a route that'll intersect far enough from the airport where it's not like super suspicious, and just have someone stealthy, like just hit them, get a bug on them.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it's going to be particularly hard.
Yeah, got tag grounds actually, so we can
Perfect.
technically just shoot one of the vans.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Do we enact that plan? Or is there any specifications you want to say before you enact the plan?
Load up Ares Alpha with a stealth tag ground.
Brilliant. You can shoot that fucker from 2 kilometers away.
Yeah. Wait until the vans are departing. They pass like 10 kilometers out from your base. Just sort of take a pot shot at one of them. They're going through kind of a shady area.
Yeah. It could easily be a pothole or anything, And so yeah, is there any is there anything you want to specify beyond that, or do you want to enact that plan? I'm just mindful.
Yeah, no, it's a stealth tag, so it's running silent. So
Yep.
it's not matrix visible unless they're looking for it.
Unless you scan for it, yeah.
Nah, that's it.
All right, brilliant. It's not something. Ricochet, do you let the round go, or you're one taking care of it?
Do you want me to do it?
You're the sniper, so that was my prejudices showing.
Oh wow. I think Trey's a much better shot.
Right.
Yeah, the rounds are for an assault rifle, so that's the weapon left.
Trey's also quite sneaky too.
Cool. Trey, it sounds like you're up. You're going to take care of this?
Yeah, I can do that.
Right, to decide how far you're firing and work out what the penalties are involved. It shouldn't be hard. It's a moving vehicle, but it's not fucking moving at 100 kilometers an hour. It's only doing about 60 k's an hour as it goes, through dirt roads and shit. It shouldn't be a hard hit, but just for the sake of completion, make the roll. You might accidentally hit the windscreen, and then they're going to know something's up.
Just a rock.
Just a rock.
Yeah, but they might notice the tag at that point.
Yeah,
what kind
exactly.
of vehicle is it?
An old Chinese Jeep, military Jeep.
Off-road suspension.
You got it.
I try to hit it inside the wheel well.
Pretty tricky shot, but yeah, you certainly can try. Depend, how close do you get before you shoot it? These are all considerations, but yeah, theoretically, no problem.
I will get within 100 meters.
Cool. That's easier than it sounds because they have to go through the residential neighborhoods just to get here. There are rice farms and farmhouses pretty much everywhere, as we've pretty much established by now. Done. So the plan works more or less completely. You hit the vehicle. There's no indication that they know it's there. That you follow the tracer, you home it in. Mako presumably follows it through the matrix.
Mhm.
It leads to a crocodile farm. It leads to a crocodile farm about 15 kilometers out of town. Crocodile Farm's pretty heavily protected facility because they have fucking crocodiles. A bit of a side note, because it floods here, right? If you get a mega flood where the water level rises 5 or 6 meters, you need 15-meter high fences, or the fucking crocodiles will get out. It happens. It happens all the time. About every 10 years, fucking Thailand loses a whole bunch of crocodiles because they escape from crocodile farms because of this exact situation. Anyway, so the crocodile farm is pretty heavily protected by very high fences. You want to keep the crocodiles out naturally, and you want to keep thieves out as well because crocs are pretty expensive. Their leather is worth a lot of money. Crocodile leather is one of the most expensive leathers on the planet. Anyway, moving on again. The homing beacon travels to this crocodile farm, and it's not. But after about 3 hours, it just disappears. Just gone.
Probably hit it with a tag eraser or something. But
You got it.
I think we've identified the farm.
Yep, I'm pretty sure we have.
All right. Now we figure out where these assholes are getting their stuff from.
Probably a lot of places.
Yeah, probably, but still. We followed those comm links up the chain of command. We might as well follow the supplies. We want to stake this place out for a bit.
Well, my guess is that they're coming in from like dozens to, if not more, source places, like rural places, farms, that they still control that kind of stuff, and that's kind of their central hub to collect it all.
Well, we can confirm that.
Yeah. That's going to be a lot harder to stake out, though. We'll have to.
Yeah, it covers several square kilometers. It's a big place for the crocodile farm. Like, there are multiple lakes for the crocs to live in. Then there's a leather processing facility, domiciles for people to live in, the gift shop, so on and so forth. The crocodile farm is the size of 10 city blocks. So it's a big place.
Is it currently operational as far as like visitors kind of stuff goes, or is it just shut down given the current state of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah.
Obviously, they're maintaining the crocodiles or whatever.
Precisely. But... Yeah. So it's operational, but no, it's not open to the public. Like you go on their website and you can buy tickets, but the place is closed, right? So you can still buy a ticket. You just gotta get in.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Perfect. That's what I assume, but good to verify. Just
Yeah. Put a drone to surveil the place. Just sort of keep up high and see who comes and goes. See if every once in a while a van shows up and unloads a bunch of shit. That sort of thing.
Yeah, there are cameras, absolutely.
Yeah, we could try to piggyback on their own camera system.
Yep.
Their
Mhm.
matrix defenses aren't up to snuff.
how many approaches does it have? Is it
Quite
just
a
like
few.
one main road that leads into it, or
Yeah.
so we just need to watch the fence or the main gate into it, probably.
There is a main road. There is only one main road that comes into it, but there are a couple of side roads as well.
Yeah.
One main gate. There would no doubt be a few auxiliary gates
Oh,
and
absolutely.
auxiliary roads, absolutely. But yeah, if you were to come and visit the farm, then you would definitely come down Crocodile Road.
And that's probably the road they're using as well, just because it is probably the best maintained.
Yeah, anything short of a Jeep or a motorbike couldn't, if it's a regular sedan, then there's no way it's going to be able to transverse through the fucking back headlands and back country. Yeah. All right. Well, we've made a fair few games.
Yeah, a lot of information to sift through and kind of parse.
Yeah, good shit this session.
For karma.
Perfect.
Sweet. Sorry again for getting irritated.
Not a problem. Not a
It's
problem at all.
good.
God, every time I put something into Charmer like Karma or Nidia, it's always like mission reward, so I gotta come up with like a witty name for every session.
I just leave it all a mission reward.
That's quitter attitude.
So how much was it?
No, you have to
4.
name all.
4.
Thus far, our missions have been Milk Run, Coral Snake, Clusterfuck, Welcome to Cambodia, Rough Landing, CM Recon, Khmer Repairs, Light at the End of the Tunnel, and I'm trying to come up with a good one for today.
With names like that, yeah, you should be like a storyboard writer. Like they're the sort of slugs that fucking producers would use or script writers would use.
So I guess
Yeah, I've
everyone
got
can say
Island Assault,
goodbye to
Country
the internet
Business,
people.
Signing up. Flying
Goodbye,
high.
internet. Thanks.
Goodbye.
Farewell, Internet.